Chapter 9:13. Who took the spirit marrow? Chapter 9:13. Who took the spirit marrow? Okay. Now all of you go cultivate first. But, Foundation Establishment State cultivators, leave after a day or deal with the consequences. The Golden Core Level 7 cultivator warned coldly. Yemo knew that it would be impossible to steal any spirit crystals with his power, so he just sat down in the spirit marrow pond like the other Foundation Establishment State levels. Yemo didn't use the 3-birth chant, because he knew that it would cause too much commotion and consume too much of the spirit marrow. He just used an ordinary cultivation method and slowly consumed the spirit marrow. Yemo saw that all the other cultivators started to begin cultivation, and he started scheming for the pond. He wanted to send it into his golden page world and then find a safe place to cultivate later. Yemo sat in the spirit marrow pond and slowly started pouring the spirit marrow inside his golden page world. He was very slow to avoid being caught. 2 hours later, Yemo found that the spirit marrow had formed a small pond in his golden page world and rejoiced. This would be much better than cultivating there for a mere day. Cultivators soon started to spontaneously break through in the spirit marrow pond. 3 Golden Core State cultivators ascended a small level, and 4 Foundation Establishment States ascended a whole level. 1 Golden Core State cultivator went from level 6 to level 7. It was only half a day, yet this many people broke through. The spirit marrow was too good for cultivators. This incited people to consume the spirit marrow like crazy. Yemo opened up his eyes casually and saw that almost everyone was cultivating in the pond and no one cared about him. Since that was the case, Yemo started to take in the spirit well a bit faster. Half a day later, Yemo suddenly realized that he had taken more than half of the spirit marrow pond. He was shook and immediately stopped. Yemo felt he had been a little too greedy. He could only hope that the people present were too focused on cultivating to notice him. But obviously, that wasn't going to happen. The Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator realized what had happened and got up from the spirit pond roaring, "Who is it? Get up now." No one but Yemo knew what he meant. At this moment, everyone in the spirit pond stopped cultivating. That's when they realized that more than half of the spirit marrow was missing. Yemo was preparing to run away, but at this time, 4 other Golden Core States walked inside the ancient structure. The leading Golden Core State saw the scene and couldn't help but exclaim, "A spirit marrow pond? It really is." He charged inside without hesitation. As the Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator saw this, his face sunk. Just when Yemo hoped that guy would reproach the newcomers so that he could find an opportunity to escape, he realized that the Golden Core State Peak Stage had no intentions of doing so. As he saw the Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator scan everyone in the pond, Yemo got an idea. He got up and said shakily, "For Qianbei, the spirit marrow pond's shares have been decided on by the Qianbei deeper inside. Since you guys came later, shouldn't you ask that Qianbei dash, what, a mere Foundation Establishment State cultivator like you dares stop me?" The Golden Core State cultivator's eyes went cold. However, he didn't attack. He didn't know if Yemo had company. There were 20 Golden Core State cultivators there after all. No, I wouldn't dare stop Qianbei. I'm just saying. Yemo carefully looked at the Golden Core State cultivators inside the pond, clearly hoping that one of them would speak for him. However, no one was willing to do so. The Golden Core State who had just arrived saw that Yemo had no support and said coldly, "P*S off, I will take your spot." Yes. Yemo quickly moved to the side. He was instigating a conflict on purpose. If that Golden Core State Peak Stage still did nothing, then it was his bad luck. Everyone could tell Yemo was sucking up to the Golden Core State Peak Stage to try to stay longer, but they all just looked at Yemo contemptuously. As soon as Yemo moved away, the Golden Core State Peak Stage set aside the missing spirit marrow issue and said coldly to the 4 new arrivers, "Friends, we found this spirit marrow pond and arduously broke the restriction ourselves. Are you just going to take it?" There were 2 Golden Core State tertiary stages and 2 middle stages, and when they heard this, they all stood up together. The Golden Core State Peak Stage saw that no one wanted to help him and felt very uncomfortable. He glanced at the Foundation Establishment State cultivators inside the pond and said, "The Foundation Establishment States will stop now. Get out? Yemo saw a scared-looking Foundation Establishment State run outside and followed immediately. Seeing this, the remaining Foundation Establishment State cultivators didn't dare talk and all went out. But they didn't leave. Yemo stayed in the crowd and didn't leave either. He knew he couldn't leave now. The Golden Core State Peak Stage saw that all the Foundation Establishment States went out but none left, so he felt easy. To him, the most important thing was the missing spirit marrow, not the newcomers. However, since the 4 newcomers weren't saying anything, they clearly did want to take the spirit marrow. So he decided to deal with them first before looking for the missing spirit marrow. If no one here has anything to do with the missing spirit marrow, I invite you to come to my side. The Golden Core State Peak Stage saluted with his fists as he spoke up. Hearing this, the remaining Golden Core State cultivators all got up and stood by his side, facing off against the 4 newcomers. Ash foresaw that they had to face more than 10 Golden Core States. They were dumbfounded. The strongest one of them quickly saluted with his fists. "We can talk this trough. We're willing to just stay for 3 days and leave." However, he was thinking that 3 days later, he would spread the news out no matter what and get everyone who was close to come. The Golden Core State Peak Stage nodded and didn't say anything further. He was still wondering how someone could take away so much spirit marrow in such a short time. This person must have a powerful magic artifact. It might even be a cultivation-level artifact. We don't know who took the spirit marrow, but I'm sure he's amongst us, the Golden Core State said coldly. He believed it had to have been a Golden Core State cultivator who did it. But how do we find out who took it? Another Golden Core State Tertiary Stage asked. Clearly, no one would admit or let people check their storage ring. The Golden Core State Peak Stage sneered. "Simple. I have a level 8 test spirit rune. It's no use to me, so I will use it now. Those who are willing to be tested by the rune, please stand out. At the same time, however, the extra 2 crystals need to be given to me. After all, a level 8 rune is still worth a fortune." No one spoke as everyone tacitly agreed. In reality, it might be a level 8 rune, yes, but its use was actually very limited. It could only test cultivators below the nascent soul state. And even then the accuracy wasn't 100%. The rune wasn't even worth 1 crystal. I'll start with the Foundation Establishment State cultivators. The Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator suddenly stated. Chapter 9:14. Ascending like crazy. Chapter 9:14. Ascending like crazy, he suddenly stopped because he realized that there seemed to be 1 person missing from the Foundation Establishment State group. It was that timid-looking fellow who tried to suck up. He had been tricked. The Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator immediately understood what had happened. A mere Foundation Establishment State, level 7 insect had dared to trick him? His face turned green immediately. Yemo left the round structure carefully while the Golden Core State Peak Stage was talking to the 4 Golden Core States. His 3 birth chant was put to good use again. No one realized he left. Still, the main reason for that was that everyone's attention was focused on the spirit marrow pond. Yemo immediately flew away a few kilometers and came to a barren mountain. Then he used earth travel to go underground. Immediately, he went into the Golden Page world. When he saw the large pond of spirit marrow in front of him, he was overjoyed. He was rich, really rich this time. Yemo immediately charged into the spirit marrow pond and started cultivating wholeheartedly. The spirit energy didn't even need to be converted as it became his cultivation essence, and his meridians opened up effortlessly. Yemo knew his risk had paid off. Even though his power was ascending rapidly, Yemo didn't stop to control its stability. His weak power just made him feel too uncomfortable. He even ate a clear essence pill and a Lin blue fruit. With this, the 3 birth chant showed its true power. Yemo could clearly feel his power rise drastically. Half a day later, Yemo felt the depth of his meridians hurt and then crack. His cultivation essence immediately became denser, and the strong feeling that ensued made Yemo knew that he had reached Foundation Establishment State Level 8. Yemo then immediately ate another clear essence pill and stayed inside. Yemo entered a state of deep cultivation, forgetting everything but cultivation. When the last meridians were opened and all the meridians in his body connected, Yemo felt himself become lighter. He couldn't help but get up and howl. He knew he had reached Foundation Establishment State Level 9, but Yemo still stayed inside to keep cultivating. Foundation Establishment State Peak Stage. Yemo still didn't stop. Yemo knew that he could go for Golden Core State now, but he still wanted to first consolidate his power. Yemo knew that his power had risen too quickly recently, so before he consolidated his cultivation, he couldn't attempt to break through to the Golden Core State. Meanwhile, Yemo ate a few stalagmite benefit pills. He had eaten too many pills lately, and so he needed to remedy the pill poison in his body before he charged for the Golden Core State as well. As all the poison was removed, his Foundation Establishment State Peak Stage power was consolidated. Yemo thought about many things. He had only transmigrated for a bit over 10 years, yet he was about to reach the Golden Core State. At this moment, he thought about Luoying, Qingxue, Shaoyun, Yimo, Yangzhu, Yiling, and even Yizifeng and Luoyu City. These thoughts flashed across his head and further consolidated his will to reach the peak as soon as possible and find them all. It was due to this thought that he stopped his impulse to break through to the Golden Core State. If he tried that now, he might not succeed, which wouldn't be good for his future. Yemo decided to use the remaining 2 months and a half in the valley to battle and stabilize his power. Once he was fully used to the Foundation Establishment State Peak Stage power, then he could attempt to reach the Golden Core State. Yemo knew that with 1 or 2 years of consolidation, his foundation would be very solid, but he didn't have that much time. Another important point was that the Golden Page world wasn't very complete as of yet. He could break through to the Golden Core State, but it was better to do it outside in the complete world. Yemo came out of the Golden Page world and went to the ground level. He took out 9 transformations and put it on his face. He was sure that Tong Darkface and Sima Whiteface wouldn't be inside the valley, so he didn't have to worry. Yemo had to wear it in case he saw that Golden Core State Peak Stage again. Yemo looked around. He wanted to know what had happened to that Spirit Marrow Pond. He knew that he couldn't get any spirit crystals even if he went back, but he still desired them greatly. Yemo was at the Foundation Establishment State Peak Stage now and more than twice as strong as he was before. Perhaps if he faced that Golden Core State Level 4 guy again, he wouldn't have to rely on the Blue Python to escape. Yemo was sure that he could fight against someone at the Golden Core State Levels 1 to Level 3 as long as they weren't some geniuses. Yemo was much more careful this time heading back. However, Yemo was clearly worrying too much. When he arrived, the place was a mess. There were multiple bodies laying around. As for the pond, there wasn't even any jade left, much less spirit marrow and spirit crystal. An intense battle had clearly taken place there. Yemo didn't stay and left as quickly as he could. By now, Yemo realized that this desert plain herb valley was surrounded by the desert and the precious herbs were all near the center. However, Yemo didn't walk towards the center and walked towards the desert instead. He needed battle, and there were plenty of scorpion beasts in the desert. It was the best battleground. As soon as Yemo came to the desert, he was surrounded by multiple level 3 earth scorpions. This was no challenge to Yemo at all anymore. Zissou flashed, and these Foundation Establishment State Primary Stage equivalent beasts were taken care of in a flash. At the start, Yemo had to swing Zissou to kill, but after a while, he found that his sword ray seemed to have a little intelligence. Yemo hence immersed himself in his Zissou sword ray. He had a feeling that once he completely controlled the intelligence of his sword ray, his illusion cloud sword would develop its 4th strike. Chapter 9:15. Illusion Cloud Exert will strike. Chapter 9:15. Illusion Cloud Exert will strike amidst the endless slaughter. Yemo didn't realize he had been surrounded by more than thousands of earth scorpions. He was killing them purely based on instinct. He killed wave after wave. If someone stood in the air right now, they would see endless earth scorpions flooding towards one person. But that wave of monsters was stopped by some power in the center, unable to flood the person in the middle. In the end, Yemo closed his eyes completely and just controlled his sword rays based on his sense for danger. The intelligence in the sword rays grew. He kept on attacking with sword rays to unearth that intelligence. Each time a scorpion attacked, it would be blocked by his sword rays and then create a mist of blood. But even then, there were too many scorpions, and some made it through and injured him. But the attacks that got through were the weakest. Emo sensed the dangerous attacks, and a sword ray would block them immediately. In the end, a sword ray barrier formed around his body. Every time his cultivation essence was about to run dry, he would eat multiple essence recovery pills and spirit containment pills. He had prepared countless pills for the Herb Valley battles. As for pill poison, he didn't have to worry about that. Before this, his illusion cloud division strike could separate into countless sword rays already, but he couldn't control them. Now, as he slaughtered the scorpions, he gradually found that sliver of intelligence. He wasn't going to stop now out of fear that he wouldn't feel that intelligence again if he did. A few cultivators flew over the desert on their flying swords, and there was even one golden core state among them. When they saw an endless wave of earth scorpions rush towards one cultivator, however, they were shook and left as quickly as possible. Even golden core states would be dead for sure if they were surrounded by countless level 3 earth scorpions. Moreover, there were level 4 scorpions approaching from the periphery too. Emo could feel the scorpion threat get stronger and stronger, but he still didn't open his eyes. Zissou kept sending out sword rays, and he could feel that he could control more and more of them. Clink, Zissou suddenly shook, and the sword ray Emo had been controlling suddenly scattered, becoming a mess. The next moment, Emo felt pain on his chest, and an extreme sense of danger overcame him. That danger even invoked the fear of being killed in Emo. He subconsciously gathered all of the sword rays together and attacked the direction from where the dangerous feeling came. At the same time, he opened his eyes. Emo had never expected that in a rush, he would actually manage to control most of his sword rays together. Before he could rejoice, his sword rays clashed with something, and Emo was sent flying. A level 3 beast was smashed away too. Emo once again felt that extreme pain as he spat some blood and gathered all the cultivation essence in his body to protect him. At this moment, Emo finally took a close look at his surroundings, and he was shook. A 100-meter area around him was full of earth scorpion bodies, and there were countless more earth scorpions coming from a few miles away. The bodies were piled up to form a small hill already, and there were even some level 4 bodies among them. Emo examined his state. He was covered in blood and wounds, and there was a gash on his chest that was deep to the bone. Clearly, that was the result of the danger he had sensed. Emo immediately noticed the huge earth scorpion in front of him. It was much bigger than other earth scorpions. It glared at him with cold eyes. This was a level 5 earth scorpion, a level 5 middle stage earth scorpion. Emo suddenly became excited. He had survived under the furious attack of a level 5 earth scorpion. This level 5 middle stage beast was equivalent to a golden core state middle stage human cultivator. Emo didn't know how much time he had spent in this carnage, but he knew that his power had increased a level again. Emo suddenly remembered that last strike of his where the sword rays had become intelligent. That strike had blocked the level 5 beast's lethal blow. If it hadn't, Emo subconsciously raised Zissou, and the blade quivered as a sword ray rolled around it according to his will. It seemed like it was intelligent, and it only finally disappeared after a long while. After finally mastering this move, Emo was shaking with excitement. The reason the sword ray disappeared was because he didn't have enough cultivation essence. One day when he was strong enough, he would be able to control countless sword rays according to his will. Was this controlling the sword with one's will? Sword will? Emo didn't know sword will, but this sword ability of his was something he had created himself based on another sword ability. Emo realized that he had finally created the Illusion Cloud's 4th strike. I'll call it the Illusion Cloud Exert will strike, Emo proclaimed as he clenched Zissou, his battle will sword, and he prepared to face the level 5 beast. All he wanted now was to fight the level 5 beast in front of him. He ignored the fact that he was full of injuries and surrounded by countless earth scorpions. The earth scorpion saw Emo casually shake out a few sword rays and looked concerned. It was level 5 and had some level of intelligence. It could tell that Emo was full of battle will. When Emo's battle will climaxed, the level 5 beast shrieked, and hearing this, the endless scorpion flood left. Emo looked at the ground full of bodies in a daze and felt uncomfortable. It was like he had been ready and prepared, Yet his opponent suddenly ran away. But soon, Emo calmed himself. Even if he needed opponents, it didn't have to be Earth Scorpions. Emo checked his storage ring, and he found that he had used up almost all of his recovery pills. He had prepared them for a long time. He estimated that he had spent about half a month fighting the beasts, so now he could go collect herbs. He ate a few stalagmite benefit pills and a few antidote pills to force out the poison from the scorpion stingers. Then, he took off 9 transformations and started digging out the scorpion stingers and beast cores. Emo believed that if he met that golden core state peak stage cultivator now, he should be able to run away from him. It was best not to use 9 transformations. There were too many bodies on the ground, so Emo just harvested the level 4 ones. 2 hours later, Emo got up and was planning to leave. He had gotten about a few hundred level 4 Earth Scorpion beast cores and stingers. This was a fortune to him. But just when Emo got up, he heard the sound of flying swords slicing through the air. Usually, cultivators could adapt the angle or use some other means to mute the flying noise, yet there was this sound now. Clearly, someone was running away at full speed. Emo soon indeed saw 3 cultivators rushing over. One was running away at the front, while 2 were chasing from behind. Chapter 9:16. Battling a Golden Core State Again? Chapter 9:16. Battling a Golden Core State Again. The one running away was a female cultivator. Emo scanned her with his spirit sense and recognized who she was. She was Guangwei, a core sect member of the Immortal Herb Valley and a top 20 ranker of the Pill Concoction Hall of Fame. She was at the Golden Core State level 1. She had even ridiculed him a little for entering the valley with his current power. At this moment, her hair was covering her face, and her clothes were torn. Her snow-white skin was covered in blood. Someone dared kill a core sect member of the Immortal Herb Valley here? Emo knew that the sect had quite a high status in the North Far State, so even if someone were to attack their sect member, they wouldn't dare to do it so overtly. Guangwei clearly saw the cultivator amongst the bodies and charged over to Emo in joy. "Dao friend, I'm Immortal Herb Valley's Guangwei." I'm dashed, but when she reached Emo, she stopped talking. Her face looked bad as she had recognized Emo, the level 7 Foundation Establishment State cultivator. She didn't know why Emo was there, but Emo was heavily injured too. Even if he weren't, he wouldn't be able to save her life. But Guangwei knew getting on her flying sword again was no option either, as her 2 pursuers had sealed off her escape. "What are you doing here?" Guangwei was very annoyed. If Emo wasn't there, she wouldn't have come down to ask for help. She could have kept running. In actuality, she did know that she was being unreasonable, though. She would have been caught eventually anyways. "Why can't I be doing something here?" Emo asked calmly while studying the 2 cultivators in pursuit. It was 1 Golden Core State level 4 cultivator and 1 at level 3. Guangwei could indeed only run from them. Guangwei calmed down and said apologetically, "They're not from the North Far State. I have brought trouble onto you." Guangwei sighed. Not from the North Far State? No wonder they dared to hunt down an Immortal Herb Valley disciple then. Foundation Establishment State Wanbei? Ha ha ha. The Golden Core State Level 3 saw that Emo only had Foundation Establishment State power and immediately laughed. Guangwei's face went red. She threw over a dark yellow herb and said, "It's yours. This has nothing to do with him." The Golden Core State Level 4 took the herb and looked contemptuously at Emo. Speaking coldly, "You want me to let this insect go? It isn't impossible. If you give me your virginity, that is." Guangwei's face went red, and she was about to fight immediately, but Emo's following words stopped her impulse. "Yellow 3-leaf?" Emo became excited staring at the herb. The Ninbai pill's main ingredient was the yellow 3-leaf, and the Ninbai pill was the most important pill for Golden Core State cultivators. "I'll take this yellow 3-leaf." Emo looked coldly at the level 4 Golden Core State and spoke up solemnly. When Emo said this, the 2 Golden Core States as well as Guangwei were dazed. 2 breaths later, the 2 Golden Core States laughed out loud. If Guangwei weren't in danger, she would want to laugh too. A mere Foundation Establishment State dared to say to a Golden Core State middle stage that he would take what was in his hands. "I wanted to kill you later, but I see you're asking to die now. Insect, I want to see how you're going to take this yellow 3-leaf. The golden core state level 4 uttered as his flying sword quickly surrounded Emo with sword light. He wanted to cut Emo's limbs off and let Emo watch as he dual cultivated with this female cultivator before killing him. Guangwei saw this and took out her flying sword, wanting to stop it, but the golden core state level 3 stopped Guangwei. What the golden core state middle stage fellow didn't expect was that as soon as his flying sword was about to attack, the Foundation Establishment State insect took out his kitchen chopping knife and chopped over at him. He was furious. A Foundation Establishment State cultivator dared to attack him? He wanted to use his cultivation essence field to bind the insect, but what shook him then was that his cultivation essence was bound first. This was the second time Emo used the illusion cloud essence binding strike against a golden core state. The first time it didn't even stop the person for half a breath. Now, he was inestimably closer to the golden core state, so he was really curious to see how strong it was now. The purple sword ray instantly bound the golden core state fellow, but soon, Emo felt that it would still only last for 2 breaths. Hence he used the illusion cloud division strike immediately. Instantly, countless purple sword rays were struck out. By the time the golden core state broke free, Emo had about a few hundred sword rays ready for him. The golden core state sweated cold from this and conjured a blue shield. Crack, countless strikes struck the shield. The shield blocked 90% of the sword rays, but some still got through and went into the golden core state's body, injuring him. The golden core state middle stage cultivator was immediately furious. Due to his underestimation, he had gotten injured by a Foundation Establishment State insect. Now, he didn't hold back anymore. He raised his 2 hands, and 4 different colored swords were sent out. They formed the word Wang and completely covered Emo. Endnote. Wang equals king. Guangwei was stopped by the golden core state level 3, but when she saw that Emo was capable of injuring the golden core state level 4 cultivator, she was shook. She really couldn't imagine how a Foundation Establishment State level 7 could injure a golden core state cultivator. Having crossed the bridge between the Foundation Establishment State and the golden core state, she knew how big of a difference it was. Usually, the first-placed Foundation Establishment Hall of Fame ranker was no match for an ordinary golden core state level 1 cultivator. Yet, Emo had injured a golden core state middle stage opponent with Foundation Establishment State power. This exceeded her comprehension. But when she saw the Wang attack, she began to worry. She knew how powerful it was. Martial brother Chuanwu of the God Sword sect had lost to this move. It was this cultivator's killing blow. This Li Chuanwu was at golden core state level 4 and came from the God Sword sect, so he was much stronger than ordinary golden core states, yet even he was no match for this move. Meanwhile, Emo was only at the Foundation Establishment State. She didn't dare to think further than that, and as soon as the move was used, Emo indeed felt an extreme sense of danger. The 4 swords had different colored sword rays, and when the golden core state activated them, it was like a vibrant fireworks display. But Emo felt that the sword rays could follow him everywhere. If he wasn't careful, the move would tear him apart. Perhaps 1 or 2 would only injure him, but when all the swords joined together, he would be torn apart for sure. It was like his 3-birth sword ray. Emo didn't dare to hesitate and closed his eyes. Zissou rumbled, and countless purple sword rays appeared like a flower festival. These sword rays seemed to have eyes of their own as they followed the vibrant sword light. Chapter 9:17. Emo's Tactic. Chapter 9:17. Emo's tactic. Guangwei and the golden core state level 3 cultivator were dumbfounded. Emo was stopping the full-powered attack of a golden core state level 4 as a Foundation Establishment State cultivator. They even forgot to fight and just stared at Emo's fight. Meanwhile, the golden core state level 4 cultivator was the most shocked. He could feel that Emo wouldn't last long, but he still couldn't help feeling shocked. He had found the Wang 4 swords in an ancient ruin and had beaten countless people with this sword ability, yet it was stopped by a small Foundation Establishment State cultivator. If he hadn't used this full-strength attack due to his rage, he would be the one on the lower hand of this battle by now. He didn't know who this Foundation Establishment State cultivator was, but his sword ray seemed to be alive, as if it would block every single one of his sword rays. If it wasn't that this Foundation Establishment State cultivator's cultivation essence was far weaker than his Wong, 4 swords wouldn't be able to suppress him. He had never seen a Foundation Establishment State cultivator this strong, nor had he heard of one. Compared to him, the Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame #1 was nothing. Yemo's power rendered him full of killing intent. He had to kill such an overpowered cultivator before he was strong, or there would be endless trouble for him in the future. Thinking about this, the Golden Core State added more cultivation essence to his attack, and the sword rays shone even brighter. Yemo was already struggling to block the move, and now he finally couldn't help spitting 2 mouthfuls of blood. He sighed. It would seem he was being a bit too cocky still. He thought he could take on Golden Core State middle stage cultivators, having reached the Foundation Establishment State peak stage, and having created the illusion cloud exert will strike. But now, it seemed there was still a huge difference. When Yemo saw the Golden Core State was about to take something out, he got even more desperate. He wanted to take out a few attack runes too, but he couldn't. Seeing Guangwei watch on the side, Yemo was furious. He cursed, "Dumb girl, hurry up and kill the other dude and come help me." Guangwei was dazed. She didn't expect that Yemo would dare to insult her. If she could kill this Golden Core State level 3, she would have long since killed him, right? But she saw that Yemo was about to lose and knew that that was their only way out. If she didn't kill the Golden Core State level 3 cultivator, she would be dying along with Yemo. Thinking about this, Guangwei sent her flying sword out and attacked the Golden Core State level 3. He was stronger than Guangwei by a little, and the two fought a close battle. This time, Guangwei was very desperate. She temporarily held the upper hand. After all, Golden Core State level 1 and 3 was both the same primary stage. Once Guangwei exerted her cultivation essence, though, she would be defeated for sure. Thus, the Golden Core State level 3 just patiently held Guangwei in place. Guangwei sighed. She wasn't dumb, and she could tell there was no other way anymore. She attacked with her full might and didn't even bother with defense. The Golden Core State level 3 had a sneer of contempt on his face, and he knew his opportunity was near. This woman wasn't as good as the one who had been with her, but she was still pretty. She would make for some good fun in this place. Guangwei saw the Golden Core State keep staring at her body and couldn't help but get angrier. She made up her mind that even if she was to die, she wouldn't let the two jerks do what they wanted. When Guangwei sent her flying sword piercing at the Golden Core State's eyes like crazy, the Golden Core State suddenly seemed dazed. His eyes were then filled with disbelief, as he hadn't noticed Guangwei's flying sword pierce his eyes at all. Guangwei was also stunned. She didn't expect to actually succeed right when she was about to give up. Her Golden Core State level 3 opponent hadn't dodged at all and let her pierce him. Guangwei was dazed for a moment, but quickly realized that this was a good opportunity. No matter what, she couldn't let this guy live. Immediately, her flying sword sliced off the man's head. Guangwei was overcome with disbelief at being able to kill the man. As soon as the man fell down, Yemo spat more blood, and his purple sword ray became Messier. The next moment, a few sword rays pierced his shoulders. Yemo ate a few more recovery pills. He knew he had succeeded halfway. The Golden Core State level 4 attacker in front of him was too strong. Even if he took out Shadowless, it would be of no use. He needed Guangwei's help. So he used Shadowless to help Guangwei kill the other guy. However, he got injured more due to splitting his spirit sense. Guangwei was surprised, but when she saw what happened to Yemo, without thinking, she charged at the Golden Core State level 4 with her flying sword. At this moment, the Golden Core State took out a paper rune. Clearly, he was unhappy with having to fight Yemo for so long. It was already embarrassing that he had to use his killing blow to suppress Yemo and then runes to kill him, but he didn't care about what it would cost him at all anymore. He would only rest easy after this Foundation Establishment State died. But when he took out the rune, he saw Guangwei kill his friend. Before he could check how that was possible, Guangwei was already attacking him. Without a thought, he threw the rune at Guangwei. even though he had been planning on using it against Emo. He grew more careful once again, though. Did she too have some unknown means that she hadn't used before yet? Otherwise, how could she kill a cultivator 2 levels higher than her so quickly? The rune exploded in front of Guangwei, and Guangwei could only put up a cultivation essence barrier. But even with that, she was immediately burned by the rune. Her hair turned into a crisp, and she didn't have a single bit of clothes left on her. Meanwhile, Emo used this chance to take out his own runes. They were his battle loot, but he threw them at the cultivator without hesitating. At the same time, he told Guangwei to hurry up and attack. Rumble rumble, the runes Emo threw out were fireball runes, huge boulder runes, and ice shard runes. They were all level 4 and 5, so they were weak against golden core state cultivators, but their quantity could make up for that. While the golden core state was busy with that, Emo controlled Shadowless to move below the golden core state. Guangwei really wanted to change into a new pair of clothes, but she knew that this was a crucial moment and that she couldn't waste a single second. So Guangwei chose the right moment and sent out her flying sword. With Guangwei joining him, the pressure on Emo was reduced greatly. Zisu's sword ray instantly broke through the sword ray lockdown, and the golden core state was cut many times over. Emo then sent out a few hundred more sword rays, and the illusion cloud whirlpool strike. All he had needed was an opportunity, and with Guangwei there, he got it. The golden core state had thought that the purple sword ray was Emo's strongest move, so when he saw the spinning whirlpool sword rays, he was shocked once again. What sword ability was this? He knew he had to run. If those two joined forces, he would be a dead man for sure. Just when he had such a thought, he felt a little pain in his meridians, as though something had crawled in. Before he could check it, the Foundation Establishment State Cultivator's sword rays covered the heavens and earth as they charged straight at him. Chapter 9:18. Agreeing to help? Chapter 9:18. Agreeing to help this golden core state cultivator was different from other cultivators. The first thing he did was to force out Shadowless. However, he underestimated Emo's illusion cloud whirlpool strike. He thought his Foundation Establishment State opponent was already very strong, but no matter what, since he could suppress him for so long, he would be able to do so for a bit longer. But as soon as he forced out Shadowless, he was sliced up by the countless purple sword rays. Despair filled the cultivator's eyes. He was killed by a Foundation Establishment State insect. Guangwei looked in a daze at the sky filled with sword rays that sliced a golden core state level 4 to pieces. She forgot that the first thing she should be doing right now was changing clothes. She immediately realized that the golden core state level 4 cultivator had also seemed distracted before he was killed. Did you help me kill that golden core state too? Guangwei reacted and asked. Emo scanned her and said plainly, I think what you should care about now is changing into some clothes. Then, Emo took the level 4's ring and sat down, starting to recover. Guangwei just realized that she didn't have any clothes on. She was very embarrassed. Just when she wanted to tell Emo not to look, he had already turned his back to her. Without thinking, Guangwei casted a simple barrier and went inside it, washing herself with a water spell before changing into a set of clothes. When Guangwei came out, Emo was already standing up. He was covered in blood, and Guangwei couldn't see the state of his injuries. I will be going, goodbye. Emo turned to leave. He had been fighting all these days and felt that it was time for him to form his core. He didn't want to be with Guangwei while doing that. Guangwei reacted and immediately remembered why she was being hunted. She said desperately, Emo, please save my martial sister Mushin now. She's trapped by cultivators from the South Peace State. Emo studied Guangwei in surprise and said after a long while, You want a Foundation Establishment State cultivator to beat the Golden Core State cultivators trapping your martial sister and save her from them? Guangwei said desperately, Emo, you can do it for sure. You're capable of killing that Luo guy. Your power is no weaker than Golden Core State. With me, we should be able to help. You must go help. Remember, before you came in, Mushin helped you dash, Emo smiled. Helped me? Do you think I needed help? In fact, Emo paused and studied Guangwei before saying slowly, In fact, it's not a good idea for you to come in here. If I were you, I would stay at home to concoct some pills. Guang Wei heard this and blushed. Actually, Yimo didn't plan on not helping. After all, Qin Muxin did want to help him before. But after fighting with that golden core state level 4 cultivator, Yimo again realized that his power was nothing in front of the might of a strong golden core state. Not to mention that after so long, who knew if she was dead or not? What if she was dead? He just wanted to find a place to recover and ascend to golden core state. Anything had to wait until after that. Guang Wei saw that Yimo was about to leave, and her face went pale. She suddenly thought of something and said, "My martial sister and I were hunted by them because we found a large patch of yellow 3 leaves. They must have something important to do, coming all the way here. Furthermore, we've already killed 2 of the 4 golden core state cultivators. If we meet up with Muxin and the others dash, hearing about the yellow 3 leaves, Yimo immediately turned around and said, "What are we waiting for then? Hurry up and go." Then, he immediately got on his flying pike. He was about to reach the golden core state, but he didn't have any herbs for golden core state cultivation. If he wanted to reach higher states faster, then he needed large amounts of resources. He even dared to steal things from hollow spirit state cultivators, much less from 2 golden core state cultivators. Guang Wei looked at Yimo a bit stunned. She didn't expect Yimo to agree just because of that. Wasn't this too straightforward? He just said he couldn't beat golden core states, and now he was getting ready to go as soon as he heard yellow 3 leaf. But Guang Wei didn't dare to scorn him for fearing that he wouldn't go. When she saw Yimo's low-grade flying spirit artifact, she wasn't even shocked. It was normal for an overpowered cultivator like Yimo to have a low-grade flying spirit artifact at the Foundation Establishment state. Guang Wei picked up the golden core state level 3 storage ring and gave it to Yimo. "You killed him? You deserve it?" Yimo said plainly. "I killed the level 4 and I took his ring. As for the level 3, that's your loot. I won't take what's yours." Yimo denied himself being involved at all. Guang Wei knew that it had something to do with Yimo, but Yimo wasn't going to admit anything. "You control the flying pike. I need to recover," Yimo said. His injuries looked serious, but Yimo knew it was only a matter of cultivation essence exhaustion and some external injuries. 4 hours later, Yimo had completely recovered. He didn't take over the flying pike, but instead started looking at the golden core state level 4 storage ring. There were more than 100,000 top-grade spirit stones inside, and about the same amount of middle-grade spirit stones. There were also large amounts of golden core state cultivation pills and the 4 colored swords. Yimo also found an incomplete jade slip inside. It had the Wang 4 swords. It was a very good sword ability, but Yimo had illusion cloud, so he didn't look at it and left it to the side. Other than this, he also found a jade card that said, "Flowing Cloud Sword Sect, Luo Zixiang." It was probably his identity card. There were also tins of jade boxes that contained the herbs he had found. Yimo took everything, took a shower, and changed his clothes before coming out. "How long?" Yimo asked Guang Wei, who seemed a little worried. Guang Wei said, "Almost there." Yimo also started inserting cultivation essence into the flying pike, and it cut through the air even faster. 30 minutes later, the flying pike landed outside a huge valley. "Martial Sister Muxin, you're okay?" "Great. Where are those villains?" Guang Wei charged out immediately and ran up to Qin Muxin. She didn't expect that Qin Muxin would only have some blood on her and wouldn't even be heavily injured. Qin Muxin looked joyful when she saw Guang Wei and quickly said, "Martial sister, I was very worried about you, but I didn't know which way you ran. It's so good to know you're fine." "What's this?" Guang Wei guessed that something special must have happened. When she turned around, she saw the 2 golden core state cultivators who were attacking them when she ran. Her martial sister was fine, so why were the 2 still there? There seemed to be more people around them too. "These martial brothers from the God Sword Sect and Duo Heart Valley helped us," Qin Muxin said as she pointed at those golden core state cultivators and introduced them. "This is God Sword Sect's martial brother Shimin Chao. This is Duo Heart Valley's martial brother Zhikushiu." Guang Wei quickly went up and thanked them. If it weren't for these people, the immortal Herb Valley would have suffered greatly this time. Yimo saw that Qin Muxin had a few people next to her and knew that she had been saved. However, When he put away the flying pike, he realized that the atmosphere didn't seem right. Qin Mushin's side and the other side seemed to be in a stalemate. Chapter 919. Only one move. Chapter 919. Only one move. Emo looked at the messy valley and knew there had been a battle not long before. The opposing side of that battle must have been the cultivators from the South Peace State. Guangwei had guessed right. Those people had indeed come with a clear purpose in mind. The South Peace State's cultivation level was much higher than other places, much less the North Far States, which was at the bottom. It's you? Where are Martial Brother Luo and Martial Brother Xian? A Golden Core State Level 5 recognized Guangwei and yelled. He thought that a Golden Core State Level 4 and Level 3 should easily have been able to kill a Golden Core State Level 1, but now, this Level 1 came back fine, while their two cultivators didn't come back. Guangwei sneered. What's your martial brother going missing got to do with me? Am I responsible for watching him? Guangwei's words made the cultivators from the North Far State laugh. Qin Mushin also noticed Emo and asked Guangwei in confusion, Martial sister, why are you with him? Isn't it too? Bringing him here? Guangwei said to Emo, Martial Brother Yi, come here. She said to Qin Mushin, I found Martial Brother Yi to help you, but I didn't expect you would already have a few martial brothers helping you. Haha. One cultivator heard this and couldn't hold back his laughter. This cultivator was standing near Zhiqiu, who was from the Duo Heart Valley too. He said, You found a Foundation Establishment State cultivator to come help? Laughing at someone else? You're a Foundation Establishment State too, Guangwei replied coldly. She knew who this cultivator was. He was in the Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame, but she didn't care. Qin Mushin felt Guangwei was being unreasonable, but the laugh had made her uncomfortable too. However, the Duo Heart Valley cultivators had just saved her, so she just glanced coldly at the cultivator who laughed. Hi Xian, don't be rude. Martial sister Guangwei is your Qianbei. How can you be so rude? Zhiqiu immediately reproached. The cultivator stopped laughing and bowed to Guangwei and didn't speak again. Zhiqiu saluted with his fists to Guangwei and said, Those two Golden Core State cultivators weren't simple. Even I can't say I could beat one of them with certainty. Also, Hai Xian might be at the peak stage of the Foundation Establishment State, as well as number 2 in the Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame. He has no right to talk in front of a Golden Core State. Zhiqiu was still telling her in a polite roundabout way that it was quite blasphemous to find a Foundation Establishment State cultivator to help, but Guangwei didn't say anything. Even though this Hai Xian was the Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame number 2, he would be instantly killed by Emo. Even if Zhiqiu fought Emo himself, who knew what might happen. Emo was the craziest prodigy she had ever seen. Hai Xian saw that Guangwei didn't rebuke, but the contempt in her eyes was clear, so he was unsatisfied. He walked up to Emo and said, Having heard of your strength, I would like to see. Don't worry, 3 moves is enough. Emo was already unhappy about being unable to see the yellow 3 leaves, and now this Hai Xian came up to challenge him. So what if he was a bit stronger? Was Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame number 2 really that great? Seeing Emo not planning on taking out his magic artifact, Hai Xian didn't plan to either. He just raised his hand and said, I'll fight you with my fist. 3 moves. Don't worry, just 3 moves. Emo stared coldly at him. Who is Hai Dan to you? Hai Xian was dazed, but he said, She's my younger sister. Why? Hearing about his sister suddenly, his face looked bad. Why did Emo ask about his sister? Did his sister suffer in his hands? If that were the case, this wouldn't be a matter of 3 fists. Emo nodded and said, Then hurry up, I don't have time to play with you. Don't worry, just 1 move. Hai Xian's face went red. Even the number 1 Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame Li Xiaohua didn't dare to be this cocky with him. Hai Xian didn't speak anymore. He gathered all his cultivation essence and punched at Emo with full force. He was going to teach Emo a lesson. He wanted to break a few of Emo's chest bones first. Seeing Hai Xian do that, Qin Mushin frowned, because a few months ago, even she was no match for Hai Xian. Zhiqiu sighed as he took out a recovery pill. It was for Yimo, for after he got injured, or else they would be offending Guang Wei. But Qin Muxin and Zhe Qiushui felt confused that Guang Wei didn't seem to care at all. Yimo felt the overpowering fist wind which locked down his surroundings. He knew that Hai Xian was out to heavily injure him. His eyes went cold as he punched out too. Everyone could see the essence of Hai Xian's punch. It bound the opponent's space and then forced them to take the fist. With Hai Xian's cultivation essence, ordinary foundation establishment state cultivators wouldn't be able to escape it at all. Yet Yimo broke free and actually punched out normally. Hai Xian was completely shocked. He was attacking with full power, but Yimo broke free from the binding so easily. The two fists clashed, and with a crack, Hai Xian flew out. Zhe Qiushui quickly caught Hai Xian and found that all the bones in his hand were broken. He quickly fed him a pill. Everyone looked at Yimo in shock. Even an ordinary golden core state level 1 wouldn't be able to punch Hai Xian away with just his fist. Yimo patted his hand and said, "You're the same type of person as your sister indeed. But on account of Yuruyu, I'll only break one arm." Hai Xian clearly knew who Yuruyu was. He was the God Sword sect member who was about to marry his sister. After a long while, everyone realized what had happened. This Foundation Establishment State cultivator was too strong. He had sent the Foundation Establishment State Hall of Fame number 2 flying with one fist, and he had clearly not even been using his full power. No one would dare to believe it if they didn't see it with their own eyes. He was this strong? Qin Muxin muttered. Guang Wei nodded. He's strong, but he's got a very low temperament. After this guy saved me, you know what the first thing he said was? He repeated to me what I told him back then, telling me to go back home and concoct pills. Wait, he saved you? Qin Muxin was even more shocked. Before Guang Wei could reply, the Golden Core State cultivator who stopped Qin Muxin before spoke to Yimo coldly. Do you have something to do with Martial Brother not coming back? Yimo's power didn't seem to be weaker than a Golden Core State primary stage cultivator's, and he had come back with Guang Wei after all. Yimo glanced contemptuously at this Golden Core State fellow and didn't reply. He just wanted to ask Guang Wei why he wasn't seeing any yellow 3 leaves. At this moment, a few more sword lights flew over. On both sides, a few more Golden Core State cultivators arrives. Okay, we have enough people, let's move, the South P side's Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator said. Chapter 920. Insolent. Chapter 920. Insolent. Yimo realized that there were about 20 people on each side. Just when Yimo was about to ask Guang Wei what was going on, he saw Guang Wei and Qin Muxin go towards a beautiful woman in her 30s. There was a teenage girl next to her. Big Martial's sister. Guang Wei and Qin Muxin called out in joy. Yimo greeted the 4 cultivators from the Immortal Herb Valley and then asked Guang Wei, "Do you know what's going on?" Guang Wei shook her head in confusion. "I don't know." The big Martial sister also looked at Yimo in confusion. She hadn't gone to the pill concoction tournament, so she didn't know Yimo. However, she could tell he was a Foundation Establishment State cultivator and hadn't even called Guang Wei with an honorable title. Yet, Guang Wei wasn't angry, and Guang Wei wasn't so easy to talk to. Qin Muxin glanced at Yimo once and said, "There's a big ruin in the Herb Valley, and it's said that there are countless spirit herbs inside, all of level 5 or above. There's even said to be the level 8 spirit herb soul return fruit." The soul return fruit was an overpowered spirit herb. It was said that when a cultivator died, as long as the body was preserved, one could use the soul return fruit to concoct the soul-nourishing pill. It could gradually repair the soul of a dead cultivator. Is it in the ruin? Yimo immediately asked. He was thinking about Nie Shuangshuang. Her body had been preserved, but her soul was missing. Perhaps it could wake her up. Qin Muxin shook her head. No, it's in this valley. Somehow, the people from the South P State knew about this and found it. Martial brothers Jia and Shimin came after hearing this. Yimo had understood. It seemed Qin Muxin and Guang Wei had found the yellow 3-leaf there, but they had ran into the cultivators from the South P State, who had been looking for the ruin. Then, the two parties had fought over the yellow 3-leaf, but neither of them could beat the other. Even after the martial brother from the God Sword sect had arrived, he still couldn't beat that Luo cultivator. The situation finally stabilized after Shimin Chao and Marshall Brothers arrived. Now, both sides had about the same number of golden core state cultivators, about 40 people altogether. Both sides had 2 golden core state peak stage cultivators too. The Southerners had 3 golden core state tertiary stage masters, and the Northerners had 2. The rest were at golden core state primary stage and middle stage. Both sides started to go into the valley. Yimo was aware that he was from the north, but no one knew him or greeted him. He was a solo cultivator. Guangwei saw this. She knew that although Yimo had beaten Hai Xin, no one considered his foundation establishment state power valuable, so she wanted to call Yimo. However, Qin Mushin said, Yimo, thanks for saving Marshall's sister Guangwei. But Yimo said plainly, but what? Are you trying to say that it's best if I don't go in? That even if I go in, it won't benefit me much? Qin Mushin nodded awkwardly. Yes, the portal also has limited spots. You're by yourself, so before Yimo could reply. The big Marshall sister called them. Hurry up, Guangwei Mushin. The 2 women smiled apologetically to Yimo and went inside. Yimo sneered. His power was low, but if he didn't fight for such a good opportunity, how could he pursue the great Dao? Just like half a month ago, if he hadn't taken the risk of stealing the spirit marrow, could he have reached foundation establishment state peak? There was no danger in sitting at home. However, would he ever reach golden core state, nascent soul state, or even hollow spirit state at home? Yimo followed them without hesitation. This secret land inside the herb valley would be at least on the same level as the spirit marrow pond. He would be an idiot if he didn't fight for it. Seeing Yimo follow them inside, Qin Mushin sighed and didn't say anything. 15 minutes later, Yimo followed the crowd and arrived at a big stage that seemed to be used for sacrifices and rituals. Everyone stopped moving. Yimo was a formation master. Just by looking at this place, he could tell they were surrounded by a huge formation. However, the formation had been broken a long time ago. The South P State's Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator said on the huge stage, 50 years ago, our southern Kiambais found this place, but they didn't have enough people to cross the formation and enter the herb garden. Time was up, so they had to leave. There's 7 formations here. Each one must have at least 1 cultivator inserting cultivation essence to activate it. Yimo heard this and looked around carefully. There were indeed 2 obscure teleportation formations on the stage. It was a 7-star formation he could recognize from what he had seen on Earth. However, each formation could only transport 3 people. Then, the Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator said, each formation can only be activated once and it can only transport 3 people. There are 7 formations, which means that only 21 people can go. I suggest that everyone fights over the formations on your own, but we can't fight together as 2 whole parties. We should deal with whatever problems we have after coming out. I agree, the Northern Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator said. He immediately chose a formation. I'll take this formation. Guba Wanren, come to my side. Then, the Southern Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator took the second one without hesitation and called 2 people. They were both at Golden Core State Peak Stage. No one dared to fight with them. The Immortal Herb Valley's big martial sister said, Guangwei and Mushin, one of you come with me. Chi-Chi come. She didn't dare leave Chi-Chi outside. She was the weakest disciple of their sect there, and she was only at foundation establishment state. Guangwei said to Mushin, Martial sister Mushin, your pill concoction skills are better than mine. You go in. I'll stay outside with Yimo. She believed that Yimo wouldn't be able to go in for sure. Qin Mushin wanted Guangwei to go in, but she felt it was going to be awkward if stayed outside with Yimo. Hence, she might as well let Martial sister Guangwei stay outside. Then, another Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator and 2 Golden Core State Level 8 cultivators took a formation each, bringing people from their sect. After a short moment, there was only 1 formation left. Yimo saw the last formation. Without thinking much, he could tell that no matter who took it, he wouldn't get a share. Before anyone could come forward, he got on the stage quickly and said, This formation is mine. Everyone looked at Yimo in a daze. They couldn't tell whether Yimo was dumb or insolent. There were a few Golden Core State Level 7 cultivators left, and a bunch of Golden Core State Middle Stage cultivators. A Foundation Establishment State insect dared to claim a formation. Hyexian actually didn't laugh at Yimo this time. He could just feel the pain of his broken hand. So he's an idiot. I was fighting with an idiot. Then, he shook his head. Yimo's actions were so outrageous that no one had challenged him yet. The big martial sister of Immortal Herb Valley looked at Yimo in shock and asked Qin Mushin, Mushin, who is this Foundation Establishment State cultivator? Do you and Guangwei know him? Why does he seem a little dumb? Qin Mushin looked down awkwardly, relieved that this idiot who was good at pill concoction hadn't become her husband. Yimo, get down immediately, Guangwei said desperately to Yimo. She knew Yimo was strong, but she was aware that Yimo could only fight with a Golden Core State Level 4 cultivator at most. How could he beat all the Golden Core State Middle Stage and Tertiary Stage Masters there? Yimo knew what they were thinking, but he sneered. The most powerful cultivator left was at Golden Core State Level 7. He was no match for that now, but he had the 3 birth chant. He could cultivate while doing other things. If a Golden Core State Level 7 cultivator came to him, he would take the cultivation increasing pill and the Lin Blue fruit. He could form his core and use the heavenly punishment to scare them. P*S off. How can a mere Foundation Establishment State insect dare to take a formation? The southern cultivator who had doubted Yimo appeared again. He knew he wasn't going to be able to get one with his level 5 power, but he wanted to kill Yimo first. Chapter 9:21. Madness. Chapter 9:21. Madness. Yimo was prepared for a heavy battle as soon as he got on the platform. When he saw a Golden Core State Level 5 cultivator challenge him, he took a cultivation increasing pill and the Lin Blue fruit without hesitation. Guangwei noticed that Yimo wasn't getting off and that he had instead taken some pills. The challenger was at Golden Core State Level 5 and stronger than the Level 4 cultivator they had killed together. She yelled desperately to her big martial sister, "Big martial sister, help him!" He dashed. The big martial sister glanced at the 2 Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivators from the south side and shook her head. She couldn't. If she did, she would be breaking the rules. She would be attacked by everyone. Guangwei was desperate. She wanted to go up and help. The big martial sister quickly yelled, "Guangwei, stop! Do you think you can help him?" Guangwei heard this and calmed down. She knew that she wasn't able to do much. She sighed. She hoped Yimo would give up when he couldn't beat the challenger, but she realized that the cultivator had a face full of killing intent. The Lin Blue fruit? A few cultivators had recognized the fruit Yimo had taken and exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with greed. The Lin Blue fruit was very rare. It wasn't a level 7 spirit herb, but it wasn't less valuable than one. Yet, this Foundation Establishment State cultivator had the Lin Blue fruit. The Golden Core State Level 5 master sneered, P*K. Remember my name, South P State. Flowing Cloud Sword Sect, Jin Suajan. On account of your Lin Blue fruit, I'll leave your body in one piece. Everyone regretted not having gone up earlier. If they had, the Lin Blue fruit would have been theirs after killing Yimo. Jin Suajan waved his hand, and a gray metal hoop charged at Yimo. The hoop was only the size of 2 palms in Jin Suajan's hands, but when it stopped above Yimo's head, it turned into a 1-meter-sized hoop. Tens of dark rays were shot out of the hoop with an eerie killing chi. Qin Mushin saw this, and her expression changed. She hadn't expected Jin Suajan to use such a cruel move immediately. She had lost to that dark hoop. If she hadn't had a spirit artifact armor, she might have even died to that. The dark rays were very powerful. They could even dissolve spirit sense. Yimo immediately felt pain on his spirit sense when the hoop came out. He was shook. He hadn't expected to encounter a magic artifact that could corrode spirit sense. Meanwhile, the cultivation increasing pill and the Lin Blue fruit's potency spread. Yimo felt like his body was on fire. He was betting on the 3 birth chant. When he used the 3 birth chant, countless spirit chi formed a spirit chi whirlpool around him. Meanwhile, Yimo used his first strike, the Illusion Cloud Essence Binding Strike. He had to defend himself against the attacks. However, These attacks could activate his potential. The sword ray's target wasn't Jin Suajin, but the dark rays from the hoop. The sword rays mixed with the dark rays, which made a sizzling sound. At the same time, Yemo waved his hand. Countless top-grade spirit stones flew up, forming a simple spirit-gathering formation. Immediately, more spirit chi appeared, and it formed an even bigger spirit chi whirlpool around him. His foundation would have been more stable if he did this 2 years later, but he didn't have the time. Hence, he could only think of taking advantage of that life and death situation to activate his potential. When everyone saw Yemo block the hoop attack, they were already quite shocked. However, they were astonished upon seeing Yemo's huge spirit chi whirlpool. When people saw Yemo throw countless top-grade spirit stones into a simple formation, they all realized that Yemo was trying to form his core. Mad. No one could believe Yemo was sober at that moment. A Foundation Establishment State Cultivator was blocking the full-powered attack of a Golden Core State Cultivator. Yet he dared to form his core at this moment. He was asking to die. And even if he didn't die, his cultivation would go wrong. The big martial sister looked dazedly at this scene and said to Qin Muxin, "I was wrong. He's not an idiot. He's a madman." Guangwei also looked at Yemo in daze, not daring to believe he was this crazy. This wasn't even crazy anymore. It was something else. Jin Suajin's face was green. It was like slapping him in the face. His lethal move hadn't worked against a Foundation Establishment State Cultivator, yet this insect dared to form his core while fighting him. The irate Jin Suajin threw a dark red ball at Yemo and took out a long sword. Everyone shook their heads at this. Jin Suajin was a Golden Core State Level 5 fighting a Foundation Establishment State Cultivator. This was embarrassing enough, and yet he used Red Lightning. Red Lightning was an one-time used spirit-level magic artifact made by lightning element cultivators. It could explode and shoot powerful lightning. Usually, even Golden Core State Tertiary Stage Cultivator wouldn't be able to escape from this, much less a Foundation Establishment State Cultivator. The three-birth chant devoured the spirit chi like crazy, and he could feel the pressure of the dark rays. With that, it triggered his body to exert more potential. He was about to break through at any moment. Yemo saw the red lightning. If Yemo hadn't known he could devour the lightning source, he would have gotten as far away as possible. But now, he stopped his counterattack. Rumble, rumble, Yemo was completely surrounded by the red lightning. Countless lightning sparks and explosions sounded where Yemo stood, pushing the spirit chi whirlpool all over the place. However, Yemo closed his eyes and used the illusion cloud exert will strike. His power reached the border of Golden Core State. Zissou shot out countless sword rays and tens of them directed under Yemo's will, blocking the dark ray, while others went out and stopped the pieces of exploding red lightning. The most powerful lightning ray hadn't been blocked at all, and it all landed on Yemo. Even the parts that missed were drawn to Yemo. Yemo had forgotten he was in a battle now. He had gotten immersed in devouring the lightning. As he continued to devour the lightning, his power kept increasing and the spirit chi whirlpool above his head grew bigger and bigger. Everyone saw Yemo getting hit, and they all assumed he was over. Even a Golden Core State peak stage would be half dead after getting hit like that. Guangwei closed her eyes in pain. She knew Yemo was over. Qin Muxin sighed. She approved of Yemo quite highly. Becoming the Pill Concoction Hall of Fame's #1 wasn't so easy, and even her master had thought Yemo was a genius. She hadn't even rejected too firmly the idea of marrying him. She had only been angry when Yemo rejected her. But now that Yemo was covered in lightning, she felt a little sad. Chapter 922. Long Howl. Chapter 922. Long Howl. However, everyone felt something was wrong. Amidst the explosion, the spirit chi whirlpool was getting bigger and bigger. Jin Suajin saw occasionally rainbows and spirit chi clouds flash. He immediately realized that the Foundation Establishment State insect wasn't dead, and he was about to form his core instead. A golden core that could attract rainbow spirit clouds was no ordinary golden core. Thinking about this, Jin Suajin's expression changed drastically. He activated his hoop with full power and charged at Yemo with his long sword. Yimo closed his eyes. He could tell that Jin Suajin had come in. He sneered and shook his Zisu. Countless whirlpool sword rays pierced Jin Suajin. If he hadn't been about to break through, his cultivation essence now could have killed Jin Suajin in one move. A rainbow spirit cloud. All the golden core state cultivators called out in shock. They were dumbfounded. When a cultivator was about to form his golden core, a spirit cloud would take form, allowing the cultivator's power to have a qualitative ascension. However, they had only heard about the legendary rainbow spirit cloud that formed only once the golden core reached a certain quality. None of them had seen one before. Yet, they saw one that day, one that was huge. They stared in a daze at the rainbow cloud that a madman had formed while fighting against another golden core state cultivator. Everyone fell silent, each lost in their own thoughts. The few other golden core state peak stage cultivators saw this and wanted to kill Yimo now. Some of the northern cultivators considered attacking, but they eventually didn't. They couldn't know whether the rest would join them. Big Martial Sister, what is a rainbow spirit cloud? Chi-Chi asked in shock. The Big Martial Sister didn't take her eyes off the clouds and said, if a cultivator wants to reach higher states, they need to build a good foundation. The golden core is the foundation for a cultivator to reach higher states. Golden cores are divided into 9 types or 9 levels. Only those who are level 3 or higher can have hope of reaching higher states. Your Martial Sister Mushin has a level 2 golden core, but I'm only level 3. Then, those below level 3 won't have any chances of ascending into the immortal realm? Chi-Chi asked. The Big Martial Sister shook her head. No, even someone with a level 9 golden core has a sliver of hope. The heavenly Tao gives a chance to all beings. But this sliver of hope is next to nothing. Chi-Chi nodded. Then, Big Martial Sister, did Yimo form a level 1 golden core? The Big Martial Sister shook her head again. No, level 1 to 9 golden cores don't have rainbow spirit clouds. There are 3 types of golden cores that can have rainbow spirit clouds. These 3 types are above the 9 levels of the cultivation realm. I only know there's 3 types, but not what they are exactly. Clearly, Yimo is about to form one of them. While Jin Suajin was still fighting with Yimo's Zisu, Yimo suddenly felt his meridians shake. Countless cultivation essence gathered and spirit chi rushed into his body like crazy. He felt he was lacking in spirit chi, however. Just when Yimo was about to take out the spirit marrow, a large patch of rainbow spirit cloud landed above his head, and a sense of extreme comfort rose from his heart. His power skyrocketed, and the spirit chi whirlpool grew even bigger. In the blink of an eye, Yimo felt his power had reached a maximum limit. The next moment, using his 3-birth chant, the rainbow cloud and his cultivation essence formed a lychee-sized golden core. Yimo rejoiced. He could tell that he had successfully formed his golden core, so he devoured spirit chi like crazy. Jin Suajin had just broken free from Yimo's whirlpool sword rays, but he felt Yimo's immense power. He was shook. He realized that Yimo had reached golden core state. This golden core state level 1 cultivator emitted a power that even he felt scared of. Jin Suajin didn't have any battle will anymore. Realizing this, Jin Suajin decided to run away. If he didn't run now, perhaps he wouldn't be able to. Yimo felt the power and abundance of cultivation essence in golden core state level 1. He had felt a little scared that he had dared to fight against a golden core state cultivator with foundation establishment state power. The golden core state power was far from what a foundation establishment state cultivator could compare with. The instant Jin Suajin tried to run away, Yimo felt it. He sneered. Do you want to run away? Too late. Once you're here, you can't change your mind. Then, Yimo spun Zisu. This was the first time he used the illusion cloud essence binding strike as a golden core state cultivator. Jin Suajin felt something locking him on the spot. He was shook and spat essence blood, wanting to break free. He couldn't understand how this cultivator was so strong after just having reached golden core state. But before he could completely break free, the second strike arrived. Countless purple sword rays pierced his body without resistance, creating a blood mist. Yimo's sword ray spun, and Jin Suajin's fat head flew away, splashing blood all over the ground. Yemo felt satisfaction. His illusion cloud essence binding strike had never been so smooth against a golden core state master. It was the first time he killed a golden core state cultivator without the help of Shadowless. Yemo took his storage ring and the dark hoop. He howled, clenching his Zisu. He felt like he had been living a succumbing life. He had had to suck up to people, to run away at the spirit marrow pond while watching the spirit crystals he wanted to get taken away. He had been laughed by all of these people for wanting to take a formation. Now, he had easily killed a golden core state level 5 cultivator. He could finally scream at the top of his lungs and let out all of his dissatisfaction. All of the cultivators looked dazedly at the headless Jin Suajin and Yemo, who howled with a purple kitchen knife. Yemo was like a god. After a long while, no cultivator dared to challenge Yemo. There were 2 golden core state level 7 cultivators, but if Yemo could stop a golden core state level 5 when he had been at foundation establishment state, and he had killed Jin Suajin immediately after reaching golden core state, his limits were unimaginable. He even had a rainbow spirit cloud to help him form his core. Even a golden core state level 7 cultivator wouldn't be so confident against such a person. He actually succeeded. The big martial sister looked at Yemo in shock. She had thought of someone like him to be an idiot, a madman. Qin Mushin also looked at Yemo in disbelief. She suddenly understood what her master had been trying to do. Yemo wasn't just a genius, he was beyond that. He got chosen as the Pill Concoction Hall of Fame's #1, and he created a pill recipe on the spot called the Spirit Weaving Pill. The pill included the Spirit Attraction Grass. It can be used to recover spirit sense, Qin Mushin said slowly to her big martial sister. What? Her big martial sister was shook upon hearing this. She gulped and sighed after a long while. I saw wrong. He's really cool. Chi-Chi watched Yemo howl and said admiringly. The southern cultivators looked at him in a daze. No one dared to challenge him. Even the northern side cultivators looked at Yemo in disbelief. No one would believe such a story if they spread this out. Hai Exine looked at Yemo and murmured to himself, So, I'm the idiot. Zisu flew back in his hands. His power had also risen drastically. He needed to show that Han Dude how good he was, otherwise, more people would come up and challenge him. Han Qinya saw Yemo's chi rise, and his expression changed drastically. Eventually, he decided not to move forward. He could tell that this golden core state level 1 cultivator had stronger moves. Although he had his own lethal move, it wasn't the place to fight with his life. He chose to retreat. Yemo was dazed. He hadn't expected Han Qinya to retreat. No one else had expected this either. However, no one thought that Han Qinya was just being too cautious. They had realized that this golden core state primary stage young cultivator was no simple character. The scene fell silent again. Even the golden core state peak stage cultivator felt a little concerned about Yemo. This cultivator was only at golden core state level 1. Once he reached tertiary stage or even middle stage, who would be a match for him? Yemo looked around. He was sure that no one was going to challenge him. He then said to Guangwei, Martial Sister Guangwei, thanks for your goodwill before. Come here. Guangwei woke up from her daze. She breathed at ease and approached him. She had understood that Yemo was no longer that solo cultivator pill master. Even in a place filled with masters like this, no one dared to do anything to him. Thank you, Yemo. You did not only save my life, but you also brought me into the secret land. Guangwei thanked him. She knew that Yemo was thanking her for bringing him and worrying for him before, not because he liked her. The Immortal Herb Valley's big martial sister saw Yemo let Guangwei join him and thanked him. Thank you, Martial Brother Yi, for bringing Guangwei with you. The Immortal Herb Valley's Lu Yuetang is very grateful. Yemo glanced at her and said calmly, This has nothing to do with you, nor with the Immortal Herb Valley. You don't need to thank me. Lu Yuetang felt awkward. She wanted to get closer to him, but she hadn't expected this. Yemo had been there for a while, and could tell what sort of person that big martial sister was. She was at Golden Core State Peak stage, but she was very realistic. She didn't value friendship at all. To her, She would face someone happily if there was something to benefit her. Otherwise, she wouldn't even bother looking at you. The other Golden Core State Level 6 cultivator saw there was one more spot on Yimo's formation and approached him quickly. Seeing this, people got excited again. Was this person also going to charge at Yimo? Yimo had been done with Han Qianyi in one move. People hadn't even gotten to savor the fun. Guangwei began to worry, but Yimo's face was calm. He didn't move at all. His sixth sense was strong. This cultivator didn't have any killing intent, nor had he gathered his power. This cultivator walked up to Yimo and gave him a spirit crystal. I'm the Blue Sea Sex Zhou Xuanyu. I'm also from the north, like you. I got this spirit crystal not long ago, and I just want a chance to go into the secret lands. A spirit crystal? Yimo scanned it and said calmly, one isn't enough. Yimo was sure that it was the first time he saw that cultivator. He hadn't seen him at the Spirit Marrow Pond. Without thought, Yimo could tell that this guy had robbed someone else, but he was trying to act like Mr. Nice Guy there. Everyone felt Yimo was being too shameless. Spirit crystals weren't as precious as extreme-grade spirit stones, but they were hard to find. Zhou Xuanyu bit his teeth and took out another one. I only have 2. If 2 isn't enough, then never mind. Yimo knew that there had been a lot in the pond, but there had been too many people there to share it with. The Golden Core State Level 9 cultivators took the most, so Zhou Xuanyu wouldn't have had a lot even if he had robbed someone. Yimo nodded and accepted them. In that case, come up. Chapter 924. Yimo takes no share. Chapter 924. Yimo takes no share. The formations were all occupied now. That Southern Golden Core State Tertiary Stage cultivator saw that there were still about 20 people who hadn't gotten on, but he was sure that no one else would dare to challenge Yimo. He could only say, since there's enough people now, let's all activate the teleportation formation with our cultivation essence. The 7 formations were activated at the same time. Each formation flashed with a wave of white light and formed the spoon-shaped constellation. Rumble, the formation was activated, and when the white light disappeared, all the people in the formation had disappeared along with it. People outside looked at the formation in admiration. They knew they didn't have any more chance, and so they left. Only a few stayed. Han Xinya looked bleakly at the formation and had a sliver of coldness in his eyes. He then left on his flying spirit artifact. No one from his sect had gotten in, so he wasn't going to let all those people get the good things inside for free. He would give them a huge surprise after they came out. However, if Han Xinya knew that the exit from the secret land wasn't there, perhaps he wouldn't do this. Yimo guessed that this secret land would be a huge plain or spirit herb garden. But when he arrived, he realized that it was a valley. The valley was filled with mist, and nothing could be seen. Their spirit sense couldn't scan anything either. There was only a small room in the valley. There seemed to be 7 restriction formations on the small wooden room. What was inside couldn't be seen. Yimo didn't find any spirit herbs nearby. He immediately guessed that all the good things would be inside the restriction. This place might consist of 7 spirit herb gardens. Those few Golden Core State Tertiary Stage and Peak Stage cultivators rushed towards that small wooden room as there was nothing else around. A Golden Core State Level 5 saw this and said in disappointment, "There's nothing here. It seems this place isn't some secret land." Another cultivator said, "Perhaps the good things are inside the restrictions. Let's try to break through. Everyone, don't move." The Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator who had gone inside came back out. Clearly, they didn't find anything in the small wooden room. Almost everyone looked at the 7 restrictions outside the room. They all guessed that there must be good things inside there. Yimo frowned. He was thinking that since there was no portal, how would they get out? There's no teleportation formation out of here. Yimo wasn't the only one who noticed this. Zhiqiu Shui also realized it. Immediately, everyone started thinking about the problem. How are they going to get out? Suddenly, a Southern Golden Core State Level 3 cultivator pointed at the misty area outside the valley. Perhaps this place is just a place inside the desert plain herb valley. If we pass that mist, then we might be able to get out. I'll go test it out. Careful, The mist might be poisonous, someone reminded. The golden core state cultivator laughed. I know, of course. He put up a cultivation essence barrier and checked his spirit artifact armor before approaching the mist carefully. He thought he should be safe like that. If he still felt any danger, he would retreat immediately. As the cultivator neared the mist, nothing seemed to happen, and everyone rested easy. It seemed this was just ordinary mist. They might be able to get out if they passed through it. But the next moment, everyone looked at where the man stood in disbelief, because he had suddenly vanished. A few breaths later, there was a terrified howl, and the mist returned to its serenity. Just a few breaths' time, and a golden core state cultivator was gone. Everyone's face went bleak. This place didn't seem to be some secret land, more like a death valley. Perhaps we can fly out. Another golden core state tertiary stage broke the solemn silence and said. Emo sneered in contempt and didn't say anything. He knew there were flight restrictions there the moment he came in. Try flying then. Another cultivator sneered. Clearly he knew it too. Let's break these 7 restrictions first. After all, there's this large area not covered by the mist. Even if we can't go out, after the 3 months are up, we will be teleported out anyway, Lu Yueding said. What if we don't get teleported out after the 3 months? Someone else immediately asked. A golden core state level 8 from the God Sword sect rebuked. Since this is still inside the desert plain herb valley, then we should just normally be teleported out after 3 months. The southern golden core state peak stage cultivator slowly shook his head, however. The cultivators inside the desert plain herb valley will be transported out, but not anyone who is here. Why? Some people asked immediately. The golden core state peak stage cultivator replied coldly, because that's what the map I got said. We must get out before the herb valley closes, or else. The man didn't finish his words, but everyone knew what he meant. The immortal herb valley had the most people with them. For people, the God Sword sect had 2. One was Yuan Ting at the golden core state level 8, and the other was Shimanji at the golden core state level 5. Zhe Qiushui was brought in by Yuan Ting. There had been another formation taken by the northern side, but Yemo didn't know any of the 3 on that one. One of the people that were on it was at the golden core state peak stage like Lu Yuetang. Seeing Yemo look at that person, Guangwei whispered to Yemo, he's Ji Ziyuan, from the Ghost Immortal sect. With him are Gu Ba and Wanren Tian, who are also from his sect. Guangwei's voice was quiet, but Ji Ziyuan seemed to have heard her as he glanced at her. Guangwei quickly looked down and said to Yemo, I'll be going to my martial sister. Yemo nodded and didn't mind. Yemo felt that this man was the one who gave him the greatest feeling of threat. No matter what, let's break the restrictions here first. Ji Yuan suddenly changed the topic. Everyone reacted. They had come there to find spirit herbs, and perhaps there would be some in the restrictions. The other golden core state peak stage from the south nodded in agreement. I agree with Brother G's proposal. No matter what, we have to break these restrictions first. But there's 20 people here. How will we split the restrictions? The first southern golden core state peak stage cultivator walked up to one of the formations, saying, us 2 will take one. They had 3 people before, but now it was just the 2 of them. Then, he waved to the person he brought with him. The immortal Herb Valley senior martial sister brought the other 3 people from her sect and also occupied one. Ji Yuanji and Yuan Ting took one as well. Because of Yemo's limited power, he didn't try to take a restriction, and it was taken by a South P State Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator. The South only had 8 people yet took 4 restrictions. The only ones without a restriction were Yemo and the Qiu Xuanyu who had come in with him. Chapter 925. The Crazy Herb Garden. Chapter 925. The Crazy Herb Garden. The reason the 2 Golden Core State Level 8 cultivators from the south hadn't taken a formation each was because it was safer for them to do so. They were from the same sect. However, now it was different. If the 7 restrictions were herb gardens, then they had to take one each. Who wouldn't want more herbs? Qiu Xuanyu saw this and was dumbfounded. He had finally gotten inside the secret land, but he couldn't even get something. He might even be stuck there forever. He immediately looked at Yemo when a Golden Core State Level 8 master took a restriction all for himself. But he realized that Emo didn't seem to plan on doing anything. Without thought, he went up to the Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator and took out a spirit crystal. Friend, you're by yourself. Take this spirit crystal. I only want 30% of the herbs. He had already given 2 to Emo, which was a waste. If he didn't get anything out of this, it would be an even bigger waste for him. The Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator had taken a restriction all for himself, but he was still a little worried. He didn't fear Emo, but if Qiu Xuanyu was helping on the side, then things wouldn't be as hard. What he hadn't expected was that this Golden Core State Level 7 cultivator would only ask for 30% of the herbs and give him a spirit crystal. He could be at ease now. Without much thought, this Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator agreed to Qiu Xuanyu's request. Even those at Golden Core State Peak Stage had to admire the Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator's luck. He could take 70% of the Spirit Herb Garden for himself. Emo was just a mere Golden Core State Level 1. No matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be able to take a Spirit Herb Garden from Golden Core State Level 7 and Level 8 cultivators. All of the 7 restrictions were taken by the cultivators, but Emo didn't get anything in the end. Guangwei was just about to call Emo, yet she saw her big martial sister's serious glare. She immediately understood that if she called Emo over, it would mean that she was giving the Immortal Herb Valley's herbs to Emo. Emo seemed to have just woken up and was staring at the 7 taken restrictions. He was dazed and smiled, looking at Qiu Xuanyu. Seeing this, Qiu Xuanyu and the Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator immediately became alert. Theoretically, Emo shouldn't go look for trouble with them. Everyone looked at Emo, thinking that he would start a fight with that Golden Core State Level 8 master. However, no one believed Emo could win. Emo might not even be able to beat the Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator, much less with Qiu Xuanyu helping. However, Emo just smiled at that Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator and didn't even approach them. Instead, he walked into the small wooden room. The Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator breathed at ease when he saw that Emo wasn't planning on bothering him. However, he was contemptuous of Emo in his heart. There was nothing inside. The Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivators had confirmed it already, so no one cared when Emo went inside. Chi-Chi saw Emo go in and asked strangely, "Big martial sister, didn't you just say that he would take that restriction for sure? How come he went into the wooden room?" Lu Yuetang blushed. She felt very curious too. According to Emo's personality, he wouldn't have let things go like that. However, he had just smiled at that guy. He didn't attack. Since when was he like this? Qin Muxin sighed. She knew that it wasn't that Emo didn't want to fight for one, but that no matter which one he chose, he was on the losing end. She quickly said, "Everyone else is attacking their restrictions. We should start too." Everyone started attacking their restrictions. The Golden Core State Tertiary Stage cultivators found that Emo didn't seem to be doing anything after going into the small wooden room, so they stopped caring. The moment the 19 people attacked the 7 restrictions, the valley rumbled instantly. Meanwhile, Emo was making some formation flags and some jade cards. After half a day of attacking them, the restrictions still hadn't really loosened up. If the 19 people had attacked the same restriction, they might have broken it long ago. Many cultivators started to rest after half a day, but no one went inside the small wooden room, as though agreeing that it was Emo's. If one of them went inside the wooden room, it gave Emo a reason to fight over their herb gardens. They weren't afraid of Emo, but Emo was a madman. So even if they were to mess with Emo, it would be after they got their spirit herbs. 3 days later, many people found that Emo was making formations in the small wooden room, and he seemed to be preparing them for cultivation. People were speechless. This cultivator was mad indeed. Had he used all of these means to come in there, just so that he could cultivate? They were right. Emo really started cultivating in the wooden room. He knew that with his current power, no matter which restriction he chose, he wouldn't get anything. Spirit Qi was very abundant in the valley. Emo took out the spirit marrow and made a cauldron of Ninbai pills. He was progressing very quickly. His Golden Core State had stabilized, and it had started to rise to level 2. Emo was aware that even with all of this, he wouldn't be able to reach level 2 in a short time. Yet he knew that the more refined his cultivation essence was, the better it would be for him in this valley. On the 5th day, a huge explosion sounded. Some kind of spirit chi that was incredibly dense spread out. Even Yemo couldn't help getting up. He could guess that one restriction had been broken. He sent his spirit sense out and saw that one of the restriction was broken indeed. It was the golden core state peak stage cultivator from the south restriction. Everyone stopped to look at it. The things inside immediately made everyone's eyes get full of tears. There were spirit herbs inside indeed. The lowest leveled ones were level 5 spirit herbs like the yellow 3-leaf, the mist lawn, or the life force fruit. The 3 level 5 spirit herb and level the 5 colors lotus were enough to make everyone go crazy. The mist lawn was the main ingredient for the mist spirit pill. It was the best pill for golden core state cultivators to break through. However, it was very rare and precious. The life force fruit was a level 6 spirit herb and an ingredient for making the life force pill. It was said to be the best cultivation essence recovery pill for those under hollow spirit state. It could not only recover cultivation essence, but also heal you. The 5 colors lotus was a level 5 spirit herb, but it was enough to make people crazy for it because it was a spirit herb that could ascend in level. Once the lotus reached 6 colors, it would become a level 6 spirit herb. The legendary 9 colors lotus was its highest state in the cultivation realm because once it reached 10 colors, it would become the 10 colors immortal lotus. The 9 colors lotus was precious because it could be used to make the 9-wind pill that could purify spirit roots. It was a legendary pill in the cultivation realm. However, they all knew that it was very hard to keep a 5 colors lotus alive. Even if they could, it would take a few hundred years for it to reach 6 colors, so 9 colors would take too much. Chapter 926. Leave behind the toll price. Chapter 926. Leave behind the toll price. The golden core state peak stage cultivator saw everyone's greedy eyes, so he said coldly, "There are 7 herb gardens here and I've only broken into one of them. I think you should all focus on your own gardens." With this reminder, everyone woke up and attacked their own restrictions like crazy. If there were that many herbs in the first garden, it meant that their own wouldn't have any less. Even Yemo wanted them, but he couldn't get them now. No one kept watch of Yemo. Chinmushin had been watching Yemo the whole time, however. She saw Yemo's fiery eyes and she could tell that Yemo desired those spirit herbs too, so she began to worry. If he fought with those golden core state peak stage cultivators, Yemo wouldn't be strong enough to beat them. However, she found that Yemo didn't go out of the small wooden house. Instead, he took out formation flags and set them around the wooden house. It was as though he didn't plan on letting people go into his wooden house. Rumble restrictions were broken one by one, and large amounts of high-level spirit herbs were shown. Yemo sat at the door of the small wooden house and scanned with his spirit sense. Red light fruit, purple bat carrot, core building grass, blue wing grass, crisp vine, tiger blood flower. There were even some level 7 herbs. Everything was what he wanted. The people soon divided the herbs after breaking the formation. But what disappointed Yemo was that after all of the 7 restrictions were broken, the highest level spirit herbs inside were level 7 and the most precious one was the 5 colors lotus. He hadn't even gotten to see the level 8 spirit herb return soul fruit he wanted to see. Clearly, there was none there. "Sorry, Yemo. I have 2 level 6 purple back blue carrot. You can have it." Guangwei walked up to the wooden house. She felt bad for Yemo, who hadn't gotten anything. Yemo had done all he could to come in. The 2 herbs she had given him were materials for concocting the blue carrot pill. It was used for breaking through bottlenecks for nascent soul state cultivators. It was very precious. Did you make defense formations here?" Guangwei immediately realized that she couldn't go into the small wooden house. Yemo smiled and nodded. "Yes, but I don't need your herbs. It doesn't have much use for me. But I have 2 level 6 herbs." Just when Guangwei was about to say something else, Yemo waved his hand and stopped her. He suddenly spoke out loud, "Everyone, I believe that you've all gotten large amounts of precious herbs here, and you're desperate to go out." Yemo's words immediately caught the attention of all cultivators there. Of course, they wanted to get out. Do you have a way out? The Southern Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator suddenly asked coldly. Yemo didn't answer, seeing that his attitude wasn't nice. He looked at the other cultivators and waited for someone to ask. The Golden Core State Peak Stage Master saw that a mere Golden Core State level cultivator dared to ignore him, so he was about to rage. But the Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator next to him stopped him. Let's see what he has to say first. If he doesn't have a good reason, we can attack him then. Jiziyuan from the Ghost Immortal sect said slowly, Dao friendy, if you really have a way for me to leave, I can give you a few herbs. Yemo smiled. He had been waiting for those words. He then glanced at the cultivators before him and said calmly, this wooden house is a teleportation formation, but it's incomplete. A master who excels in formation must complete this formation. And I happen to be that formation master. While you were gathering the herbs, I spent 5 days of arduous work and finally completed this formation. Before Yemo even finished, a few desperate cultivators tried to rush into the wooden house. Yet when they arrived at the door, they were blocked by Yemo's defense formation. Seeing this, Yemo's expression sunk and said coldly, I paid a great deal to finish this formation, and you want to just use it for free? I finished this formation. So if you want to use it, you have to take out something I'm happy with. When Yemo started speaking, the Southern Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator's face looked happy. But when Yemo asked them to pay, his face sunk again. You're a mere Golden Core State Level 1 cultivator. Do you want everyone to give you something? How long do you think your defense formation can last if we attack together? Yemo sneered and took out a jade card. If you want to use this teleportation formation, you must use a jade card I made. Without it, no one can pass through it unless you're also a formation master like me. Even if you all attack together, my formation can last at least 30 seconds. During that time, I can leave this formation easily. How long do you think I need to stop you guys for? Yemo acted like this because he knew there were no formation masters there. Otherwise, they would have long seen that the small wooden house was a formation. Hearing this, the cultivator was furious. He was about to attack Yemo's defense formation. Yemo sneered and took out his jade card. He stood on the teleportation formation and said calmly, since you think you can get out on your own, then I'll be leaving first, guys. Wait. Jiziyuan stopped the furious Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator and also quickly stopped Yemo. If things were really as Yemo said, then if he left, no one would be able to leave. The Golden Core State Peak Stage Cultivator also realized he couldn't attack now, despite his fury. Yemo wasn't really going to leave. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited until then. So, he got off the teleportation formation and said to Jiziyuan, what do you have to say? How do we know what you say is the truth? Jiziyuan already believed Yemo's words. Yemo could tell that Jiziyuan believed him, but he was bargaining. He sneered, I've spent so much effort and wasted all this time to repair the teleportation formation. I wasted countless materials for that. If you believe me, then we can do business. If not, don't come over. Mushin wanted to laugh. She had been watching Yemo. He had just placed some formation flags at the start, certainly without spending much time or materials. The formation must have also been complete from the beginning, and it had nothing to do with Yemo. She didn't say this, however. Otherwise, Yemo would cause rage. In fact, the teleportation formation had been complete, but there was a stealth restriction on it so other people couldn't see it. Yet, Yemo could. At the same time, Yemo changed the formation so that only those with a card could go through. That meant that without Yemo, these people would eventually find it and leave without the jade card. The small wooden room doesn't belong to you. What right do you have to take over it? The Southern Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator roared in contempt. He was the one who had taken the herb garden that belonged to Yemo, but Yemo hadn't dared say anything. This had made him look down on Yemo. The herb garden outside wasn't yours. Why did you take it? Yemo jeered at him. He then looked at Guangwei. Martial sister Guangwei, if you trust me, come in. I'll let you go first. Okay. Without thought, Guangwei walked into the small wooden room. Seeing Guangwei taking out the spirit herb, Yemo smiled and stopped her. No need. I'll let you go for free. Guang Wei blushed and took the jade card. Shun then put it on the teleportation formation. Everyone saw Guang Wei walk onto the teleportation formation, and after a white ray of light flashed, she disappeared. Seeing this, everyone was shook. After all, giving some spirit herbs to Yimo was better than being locked up in there forever. Knowing that they could leave for certain, some people weren't worried and instead looked around for other exits. Chapter 927. How nice I am to you. Chapter 927. How nice I am to you. Yimo wasn't worried at all. He played with the jade cards, waiting to get paid. Those golden core state peak stages cursed, but unless they found another way out, if the teleportation formation was really as Yimo said it was, then no one would be able to open it after he left. Yimo wasn't worried, because he knew for sure that there was no other way out. Even if there were, it would be through the mist, but he believed no one would dare to try that out. Indeed, even when a few cultivators searched the entire valley, they didn't find another way out. Qin Mushin walked to Yimo's wooden house and said, "Martial brother Yi, I'm willing to give you spirit herbs." Yimo led her inside and said quietly, "Seeing that you didn't expose me, I'll give you the special right to pass free." Qin Mushin blushed. She was thinking it might be more because Yimo had rejected the marriage in front of her face, but she couldn't really say that, so she just accepted the card and went into the teleportation formation. Qin Mushin was in fact right. Yimo was indeed feeling a little guilty. But the main thing was that most of the herbs were on Lu Yuetang. He only needed to catch Lu Yuetang. So like this, he would still get what he wanted and seem like a good person at the same time. Seeing this, Lu Yuetang let Chi-Chi go onto the teleportation formation. What everyone didn't understand was why Yimo let her pass for free. Everyone was contemptuous of Yimo. This guy let all the beautiful girls pass for free. Clearly he was a lecherous person. The other two female cultivators from the south also rejoiced. They decided to let Yimo take a little advantage of them when they went in. He wouldn't be able to really do anything to them anyway, and if they didn't have to pay spirit herbs thanks to it, they would be earning big. Lu Yuetang rejoiced too. Yimo had great talent, but he still had a weakness towards beautiful women. It seemed Immortal Herb Valley was going to be lucky this time. Lu Yuetang stepped forward to the teleportation formation. "Martial brother Yi, hello? Thank you for helping my martial sisters. This is my communications beat. If you go out and have some time, come visit us at the Immortal Herb Valley." Lu Yuetang didn't mention anything about her spirit herbs at all. Yimo took it and put it away without even looking at it. Then he said calmly, "Thank you, Martial Sister Lu." But then his tone changed. Martial Sister Lu got 12 core building grasses, 84 smoke mist flowers, 31 purple back blue carrots, and 16 condensed green vines. The more Yimo spoke, the worse her face looked. She didn't think Yimo had been watching her constantly from his small wooden house. Why was he saying this? "I won't take much. Just give me half of everything. Of course, if it's an odd number, then you can have the extra one." "Are you crazy?" Lu Yuetang immediately yelled. Yimo shook his head. "I'm not crazy. After you go out, martial sister, you will know how lucky you are to be in the same sect as Guang Wei." Lu Yuetang's face changed, and her tone suddenly went cold. "What if I don't agree?" Yimo smiled. "Then please step back. I didn't spend that much effort to be free labor." Hearing this, even the people outside the formation couldn't accept it. Lu Yuetang knew Yimo a little at least. Yet this Yi cultivator was going to take half of her herbs. How much would he take from them strangers? Lu Yuetang wanted to attack immediately, but she stopped herself. Even if she killed Yimo, the people outside wouldn't let her go. Remembering how Yimo had saved martial sister Guang Wei, Lu Yuetang sighed and took out half of the herbs, saying coldly, "I'm giving you these herbs not as payment, but as thanks for saving martial sister Guang Wei." Yimo took the storage bag and checked it carefully before taking out a jade card and giving it to Lu Yuetang. Then he said casually, "You should consider yourself lucky that you didn't attack. My temper isn't that good, so even if I wouldn't have killed you on Guang Wei's account, I would take your storage ring at least." "You." Lu Yuetang was furious as she took the jade card and glanced at Yimo contemptuously. "I won't fight over something useless like that with you." Soon you will know how nice I am being to you. You're not bad, but soon you will realize the difference between you and someone at the Golden Core State Peak stage. Lu Yuetang cursed. If she knew this was going to happen, she would have left most of the herbs in Lu Yuetang's or Qin Muxin's care. Yimo activated the teleportation formation immediately, but before she left, he also said, "Soon you will know how nice I was to you as well." Zhe Qiushui then walked into the teleportation formation, and before Yimo asked, he took out half of his herbs and said, "Martial Brother Yi, here are my herbs." Yimo took out a jade card and said, "I was going to ask 60%, but since you are showing initiative, I'll just take 50%. Zhe Qiushui smiled bitterly. He knew that Yimo was saying this not to him, but to the people outside. Yimo meant that they had to give the herbs to him without asking, or things wouldn't be so easy. Seeing that 5 people had left already, the Golden Core State Level 8 that took Yimo's Spirit Herb Garden asked Yimo to go in next. Yimo saw the killing intent in his eyes and knew that the fellow didn't harbor good intentions. As soon as he walked in, he said, "I'm Panny. Remember it, dash." Then he took out a flying sword and attacked Yimo. The cultivators outside saw this and knew that Panny wanted to subjugate Yimo as quickly as possible. They were all preparing to attack. But before they could, they heard a thud as Panny was flicked out of the room, smashing into a herb garden. Yimo looked at Panny coldly. He didn't say anything, but this was more threatening than anything he could say. At this moment, no one dared to doubt Yimo's formation capabilities anymore. He just activated the formation and flicked Panny out without even having to attack himself. If Yimo wasn't concerned with the cultivators outside, he could probably kill Panny at any time. He really is a formation master. Our South Peace State is full of geniuses, but we've never seen a formation master this young. My God, how does he do it? The Golden Core State Peak stage from the south murmured in shock. This person set up such a formation in a rush? Perhaps he's already a level 4 formation master. That's too scary. Another Southern Golden Core State Level 7 commented. In the cultivation realm, formation masters were divided into 9 levels. Those who could lay level 1 to level 3 formations were called formation masters. Between level 4 and level 6, one can be called a formation grandmaster. If one can set up level 7 to level 9 formations, then that would be a formation supreme master. No one could lay formations beyond level 9, because that would be an immortal formation, and those who can lay those are called immortal formation masters. The reason why everyone was so shocked was because even level 3 formation masters were very rare, much less a level 4 formation grandmaster like Yimo. Those other formation grandmasters were all hundreds of years old. No one was as young as Yimo. Chapter 928. Give you 2 words. Chapter 928. Give you 2 words. Panny felt embarrassed that he had been kicked out like a dead dog by a level 1 Golden Core State cultivator, despite Yimo having done it with the formation. So as soon as he got up, he tried to attack Yimo's defense formation, but he was immediately stopped by Ji Yuan. After Lu Yuetang had left, he was the only Golden Core State Peak stage cultivator from the north. He stopped Pan Yi's flying sword and said coldly, "If you dare to attack the formation again, I will kill you." Pan Yi subconsciously shivered. There was still a huge difference between a Golden Core State Level 8 Master and Golden Core State Peak Stage Master. Moreover, from the bleak chi Ji Ziyuan was emitting, he might even be at false soul state. On top of that, even his sect's martial brother wasn't speaking up for him. Those people who had wanted to do the same immediately gave up on the thought. Trying to go into the formation of a formation grandmaster to capture him was a joke. The South Peace State cultivator didn't wait for Yimo to ask, and they just took out half of their herbs. Soon, Yimo had an abundance of herbs, and they were all precious ones. Yimo felt he had played well his move. So what if he offended people? After he returned to River State, he would run away with Yangzhu and the others. Luoyu continent was quite big. Who could find him? Moreover, how could a Dao cultivator be timid? After a few cultivators left, the Golden Core State Peak Stage cultivator also walked into Yimo's small room. "I'm from a 6-star sect in the south, Lightning Forgery Sect's Huang Yushan. Dao friend Yi is already a formation grandmaster at such a young age. I'm very impressed. Here's my herbs. Yimo took the bag and checked the herbs. Then, he threw them back. You're missing 10 life essence fruits, 4 ghost face mushrooms, and a 5 colors lotus. Huang Yushan was about to rage after hearing this. He hadn't thought Yimo could tell so clearly how many herbs he had gotten. Yimo didn't care what sect this old man came from. How dare this guy cut out on the payment? Yimo said coldly, hurry up. If you are not going to use the formation, I will push you out. There's many people in line. Huang Yushan felt very sullen, but he knew he couldn't do anything about it. Huang Yushan put his hand in the storage bag again. He had made up his mind that after he got out, he would wait for this insect. Yimo said at that moment, because you played dirty the first time, you need to give me 60% of your herbs to get out. You need to add 13 life essence fruits, 2 5 colors lotus, etc. Huang Yushan had just realized what Yimo meant when he said he was being nice to Lu Yuedang. He looked at Yimo with fury and said word by word, I only have 3 5 colors lotus. You dare take 2. Yimo, you're a formation grandmaster indeed, but if I attack without consideration, do you think you can stop me? Don't be so cocky, young man, unless you want to stay in here forever. Yimo replied coldly, you have 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, you can P*SS off. Yimo was losing his patience. If that dude, Huang, didn't agree, he would flick him out first, and after everyone else had left, he would teach this guy a lesson. He had already completely offended these cultivators by asking for their herbs. He didn't need to suck up to them anymore. 1, 2, Yimo counted. Seeing this, everyone looked at Yimo in a daze. If this guy dared to do this to Huang Yushan, of course he would to Pan Yi, who was only at Golden Core State Level 8. I'll pay. Huang Yushan clenched his teeth and gave him his herbs. He had decided that after he left, even if he couldn't go collect herbs for the remaining 2 months, he would wait for Yimo. Yimo then checked the storage bag and said coldly, you're smart, otherwise, you wouldn't be giving me 60%. Huang Yushan's face was very bleak. However, he just took the jade card and went into the teleportation formation. After this, everyone else took out half of their herbs without having to be reminded. Even the 2 female cultivators who had wanted to seduce Yimo didn't bother trying. Soon, the remaining Golden Core State Peak stage cultivator from the south also paid half of his herbs and left. There were just 3 people outside now. One was Pan Yi, another was Qiu Xuanyu, and the last was the Ghost Immortal Sect's Golden Core State Peak stage, Ji Ziyuan. Ji Ziyuan went inside and gave Yimo a strange look, but he still gave him half of his herbs. After Yimo gave him the jade card, Ji Ziyuan suddenly grabbed Yimo. Yimo sneered and didn't even bother stopping the attack. He threw a formation flag, and with the flash of a ray, Ji Ziyuan was kicked outside of the room. Ji Ziyuan didn't seem worried at all. He said coldly to Yimo, I have a jade card now. Even if you kick me out, if I break through the defense formation, do you think you can leave before I break it? I won't trouble you. Give me back the herbs you took from me and half of what you got. Before Yimo could reply, Ji Ziyuan took out 2 black beads and played with them. Perhaps, I only need to throw 1 bead to break your formation in a second. Hearing this, Pan Yi and Qiu Xuanyu were dazed. If they really fought and P** said Yimo off, Ji Ziyuan would be able to leave for certain, but they wouldn't. Moreover, they saw the black bead in Ji Ziyuan's hands. It was the burst-in bead made by nascent soul state cultivators. These beads were very powerful. It was powerful, but only nascent soul state cultivators could make it. Usually, nascent soul state cultivators wouldn't make it because it was made when they formed their nascent soul, using the impurities and dirt of their body. Most of them didn't make it, as it split their attention and affect the quality of their nascent soul. Hence, burst-in beads were very rare. Ji Ziyuan watched Yimo closely. As soon as Yimo dared to get on the teleportation formation, he would immediately throw the bust-in bead. However, Yimo didn't go on the teleportation formation. He took out a formation flag instead and sneered at Ji Ziyuan. You won't get my storage ring nor my herbs, but I have 2 words for you. Ji Ziyuan raised the burst-in bead and sneered. You're very bold, but you can try. My bursting bead can break your formation in a second. Young man, spirit herbs are good, but you need to have the life to enjoy them. No matter what words you say, I'll only give you one chance. Dumsy asterisk and T, Yemo then shook his head. If he hadn't thought of this possible scenario, he wouldn't have even needed to stand there to gather wealth. You're asking to die. Ji Ziyuan yelled. He was about to throw out his bursting bead, but the next moment he was dazed. The jade card in his hand turned into pieces. Without thought, Ji Ziyuan threw out one of the bursting beads. If Yi Mo really tried to leave, he wouldn't be able to. He was sure Yi Mo needed 5 seconds to teleport away. During this time, his bursting bead would have already broken the formation. Chapter 929. Already a public enemy. Chapter 929. Already a public enemy, Yi Mo knew the power of the bursting bead and didn't expect Ji Ziyuan to have it. It wouldn't be able to break his formation in a second, but his formation wouldn't last more than 3 seconds. In that case, he wouldn't have time to teleport away. If Ji Ziyuan had taken out the bursting bead immediately, Yi Mo wouldn't have been able to collect everyone's herbs, but Ji Ziyuan had been greedy and wanted Yi Mo to collect the spirit herbs for him, so he had stayed until the end. But Yi Mo wasn't afraid. He wasn't going to just stand there and watch the bursting bead break his formation. Yi Mo threw out all of his formation flags and sneered, "Had you used your bursting bead right at the start, then I wouldn't have been able to do anything but run. But now, you deserve the 2 words I gave you." The flags floated in an orderly fashion and surrounded the bursting bead as soon as Yi Mo threw them out. Rumble, a huge explosion sounded. The formation flags Yi Mo threw out quickly formed a simple defensive formation, but it was pulverized instantly by the power of the bursting bead. But Yi Mo didn't want the explosion to reach his innermost defensive arrangement and threw out more formation flags to surround it. This kept happening, as though Yi Mo had an endless amount of formation flags on him. Eventually, the power of the bursting bead was shaved away by Yi Mo's countless formation flags. The defensive formation in the small wooden room was only a little broken. Yi Mo threw a few more formation flags out, and the damaged parts were instantly repaired. Ji Ziyuan looked at all of this in a daze. His bursting bead's power had been wasted away by Yi Mo's formation flags in such a shameless way. He was at a loss for words. He said he would break Yi Mo's formation in a second, yet more than half a minute had passed, and Yi Mo's formation was still there. Ji Ziyuan didn't expect this mere golden core state level 1 to be so calculating. He seemed to have long since prepared countless formation flags. From how he could make an impromptu formation in midair, it showed that he had long since built the formation foundations for them. Ji Ziyuan thought of himself as a calculative person, but this guy was even more calculating than him. Meanwhile, Yi Mo was sweating cold. Being careful wasn't a mistake indeed. He thought of the possibility of someone using a single-use magic artifact thanks to the red lightning from before, and so he made a few more defensive formation bases in the air that could be activated by formation flags as a countermeasure for such things. Who would have thought that this extra move would actually save his life? Otherwise, he really wouldn't know if he would have been able to get away. Pan and Xiao Xuanyu also looked at the confrontation speechlessly. Pan Yi's mouth was bitter. He knew his ending wouldn't be good. This Golden Core State Level 1 was playing around with even a Golden Core State Peak stage, so wasn't he not even worth mentioning? Yi Mo then took out another handful of formation flags and said, "Gee, you have another bursting bead, right? Why don't you take it out?" If it wasn't that Yi Mo didn't dare to leave now as he still had some business here, he would have long since gone out. He didn't care if these 3 lived or not. But Yi Mo believed there was something strange about how there could still be such dense spirit chi after the restrictions were broken. He had to search everything again after everyone left. Yi Mo didn't know that other people had also realized that, but even if they stayed behind, they wouldn't be able to get anything. Ji Ziyuan looked bitterly at Yi Mo. "Dao friend Yi, it was my bad. I'm willing to give you more spirit herbs. Please let me go on account that we're all northern cultivators." Yi Mo said, "I'm easy to talk to and very generous. You only need to give me half of your herbs, but you will need to add 100k top-grade spirit stones. Also, since you scared me with your bursting bead, you will have to leave the remaining one behind as compensation. Hearing this, Ji Ziyuan's heart ached. He didn't get anything in the end and only lost 100k top-grade spirit stones, as well as a bursting bead. As for staying behind, who knew if he would still be alive after being trapped in there for a few decades? From a certain perspective, he actually did feel that Yimo was rather easy to negotiate with. The 100k spirit stones wasn't really much. The only precious thing was the bursting bead. Yimo had considered taking Ji Ziyuan's storage ring, but that would mean them becoming mortal enemies. He was sure that even if it meant Ji Ziyuan not being able to go out, he wouldn't leave behind his storage ring. Yimo wasn't confident in taking down Ji Ziyuan anyway, so he had left some space for him. Furthermore, Ji Ziyuan was from the Ghost Immortal sect. He could kill him, but he couldn't allow his sect to know about it. Those who had entered the hidden space were all elites of their sections. It wasn't too bad to rob their spirit herbs, but killing those elite members would be another story. Ji Ziyuan entered the small wooden house for the second time and gave Yimo a bag filled with 100k spirit stones. But then Yimo threw the bag back and said coldly, "How come I don't see the half of the spirit herbs?" Ji Ziyuan was stunned. He realized that Yimo didn't mean the half of his spirit herbs that he had already given him just now, but that Yimo meant he wanted another half of the remaining herbs he had. This meant that he would have given Yimo 75% of all his herbs. At this moment, Ji Ziyuan no longer thought Yimo was easy to talk to, but he had no negotiation rights anymore. Ji Ziyuan didn't bother arguing with Yimo and just took out another half of his herbs and gave that to Yimo. He had decided that after he went out, no matter where in the world Yimo was, he was going to catch him and devour him. Seeing Ji Ziyuan leave, Qiu Xuanyu took out half of his herbs without making trouble and left. He swore that he would rather face nascent soul state masters than Yimo, seeing that only Pani remained. Yimo had nothing to worry about anymore. He might not be a match for Pani, but with his formations he really didn't fear this Pan fellow. Pani looked at him and asked, "How many herbs do you want?" He knew that Yimo would definitely ask for more, and he was prepared to give all he had. He would just wait for Yimo after going out. "Give me 80% and that spirit crystal. Then you can leave," Yimo said coldly. Pani was shook, as he didn't expect Yimo to only ask for 80%. Yimo had his own plans, though. If he took all of Pani's herbs, it would break his hope, and he might as well kill him then. A person who loses hope will become crazy. But Yimo didn't plan on killing him yet. Pani didn't object and took out what was asked of him without hesitation. Seeing Pani teleport away, Yimo secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He had become a public enemy now. The people would probably be waiting for him outside, but Yimo didn't plan on leaving anytime soon. Chapter 930. Waiting for Yimo. Chapter 930. Waiting for Yimo at an ordinary place on the outskirts of the desert, a hidden teleportation formation revealed itself. More than 20 cultivators had gathered here. There were the 18 cultivators who had been teleported out and 2 friends, who they had called over. Qiu Xuanyu was the only one who had left immediately. Everyone stared at the formation, waiting for one person, the Yimo who had robbed their herbs with shameless means. They were waiting there to take back what belonged to them. Many saw Qiu Xuanyu run away, and they immediately looked down on him, but no one said anything. Qiu Xuanyu was completely scared of Yimo. He would rather get away and not take back his herbs than face Yimo again. The formation brightened up again. It was Pan Yi. The Golden Core State Level 8 cultivator who had come with him went up to him and asked, "Martial Brother Pan, how much did he take?" Pan Yi's face was green. He said coldly, 80% and that spirit crystal. Huang Yushan realized that everyone except Yimo had come out, so he immediately got up and saluted with his fists. "That cocky little insect took most of our herbs. Our only goal in staying here is to rip him to pieces. But before this, I hope everyone can report their lost herbs in case we start a fight when we divide the herbs." Huang Yushan's words immediately got the approval of many cultivators. Huang Yushan nodded and said, "In that case, I'll speak first. I lost 60% of my herbs, 5 colors lotus, etc. Lu Yuetang was shook. She hadn't expected that Yimo would take more from Huang Yushan than from her. Ji Ziyuan then stood up and said coldly, I lost 75% of my herbs, and 1 burst in vide. The herbs are etc. Ji Ziyuan soon realized what Yimo meant when he said that soon she would understand how nice he was bringing to her. Hearing all these cultivators report the herbs they had lost, she suddenly didn't have hatred towards Yimo anymore. She suddenly smiled to her martial sisters and said, Let's go. Seeing them leave, many of the cultivators didn't understand, but no one asked them to stay. After all, when Yimo came out, if they didn't take their portion, it meant that everyone would get a little more. After they had walked away, Chi-Chi couldn't help asking, Big martial sister, why didn't you wait for your 50% of herbs? Lu Yuetang smiled bitterly. Do you think we could have gotten it back? If Yimo can't even think of this situation, he would have long been subjugated by those who stayed behind. If I'm not wrong, they are just wasting their time there. In 3 days, almost all of them will leave. But that's the teleport exit. If he's to come out, he has to pass there. Can he come out from other places? Chi-Chi asked in bewilderment. Lu Yuetang shook her head. I don't really understand this either, but I believe that since he dares to do this, he might have another way out. He's very cunning and meticulous. I don't think I'm wrong about him. In the future, try not to be enemies with someone like him. Qin Muxin didn't say anything. Her master had also told her this. However, Yimo didn't have another way out. The teleportation formation had a set destination, and the person who had set it up was much more powerful than him. With his current power, he couldn't change it into a random location teleportation formation. If he made any mistakes, he might get stuck in space-time and lose his life. Random location teleportation formations required high-level materials and a very powerful cultivation level. But Yimo didn't care. He had gotten the spirit herbs he wanted. It was enough for him to reach nascent soul state. Even if the others were waiting outside, by using the most obvious method, he could leave just when he was about to be teleported out of the herb valley. The southern cultivators wouldn't be teleported to the north far state, so the only one he needed to worry about was Ji Ziyuan. Yimo then went into the ravaged herb gardens. Yimo felt the dense spirit chi immediately. There was definitely something up, as all the spirit herbs there were gone. Yimo reached his spirit sense down the garden. He was only at Golden Core State Level 1, but his spirit sense was similar to Golden Core State middle stage cultivators. Even so, after spreading it tens of kms down, he wasn't able to reach any further. Yimo decided to use earth mobility. The more he went down, the denser he felt the spirit chi to be. An hour later, Yimo stopped. He had understood the source of the dense spirit chi. It was an underground spirit range. It was low grade, but Yimo felt that perhaps in a few decades, it would become a middle-grade spirit range. So that was it. How could he take it out, though? Yimo realized that he wasn't the only one who had found out about it. Those who had come and knew about this, but they didn't have a way to take it away, so they pretended they didn't know. The reason they had pretended they didn't know was so that they could report this and come back next time to take it away. The value of a spirit range couldn't be measured with spirit stones. Even a 5-star sect might not have a good spirit range. Yimo had heard that 6-star sects had their own middle-grade spirit ranges. He must take the spirit range away. With it, he could cultivate anywhere he wanted. He still had some spirit marrow yet, but with his cultivation consumption speed, it was at most enough for him to reach Golden Core State Level 3. The spirit range was far from as good as the spirit marrow pond, but it had more spirit chi. No storage ring could take a spirit range away. Even if one could, Yimo wouldn't be able to put it inside. Yimo immediately went inside the Golden Page World. He knew that he could only use the Golden Page World to take it away. But when Yimo went inside, he was shook to find that the Golden Page World had expanded multiple times. He knew that the Golden Page World would expand after he reached Golden Core State, but even when he had reached Foundation Establishment State, the increase hadn't been this significant. If the Golden Page World hadn't been his, he suspected that his spirit sense wouldn't have been able to scan until the end. It was still dull and gray inside. Yemo scanned and saw Silver sitting in the spirit marrow pond. Her feathers looked whiter. Are you a spirit beast now? Yemo looked dazedly at the big bird. He hadn't thought that a bird he had brought from Earth could become a level 1 spirit beast. Or had she always been a spirit beast? When Ning Qingxue first got Silver, Yemo had thought it was a blue phoenix, whose feathers get more and more blue. Silver's plumage had gotten whiter, however. Hearing this, Silver glanced at Yemo contemptuously and continued to squirm in the spirit marrow pond. Yemo ignored her. After seeing that the golden page world was this big, he realized that he could fit 1,000 spirit ranges, much less one. What he needed to figure out now was how to bring it inside. Chapter 931. No Exit. Chapter 931. No Exit. Yemo exited the golden page world and tried to move the spirit range inside it, but reality proved it to be nothing but an exercise in pointlessness. The spirit range didn't even shake a bit. Yemo sighed. If he wanted to put the range into his golden page world like that, he would need to at least reach the hollow spirit state. Just when he was out of ideas, he suddenly felt the spirit range move a little. When he checked it carefully, he confirmed that the spirit range had moved a little indeed. The spirit range wanted to escape? Yemo was shook. Yemo immediately perused the spirit range with his spirit sense and found that it was moving indeed, even though the movement was minimal. So the spirit range had its own will. It had been there for countless years and never moved. Why would it move as soon as they came? Yemo thought about and understood what was going on. This spirit range must have been controlled by some ancient powerful being to provide spirit chi for the 7 herb gardens. The herb gardens contained a formation that bound the spirit range. When the group with Yemo entered, none of them knew formations well and destroyed the formation. Even he didn't realize that the 7 herb gardens formed a formation. Without the formation binding it, the spirit range could run away and find a better place to reach the middle grade. Formation? Yemo suddenly realized that perhaps he could use a formation to move it away into his golden page world. Thinking about this, Yemo didn't hesitate to go into action. He started building formations around the spirit range immediately. Yemo's power wasn't too high, but his formation skills were good. A week later, Yemo's formation had covered the entire spirit range. As Yemo kept throwing out formation flags, the spirit range started to shake. The entire ground started to shake too. Yemo worried that if he took the spirit range, the entire valley might collapse. No matter how worried he was though, Yemo did what he needed to do. And finally, indeed a huge thud sounded as the spirit range was shifted into his golden page world. The thunderous sound seemed capable of crushing one's soul. Without taking so much as a moment to hesitate, Yemo dashed into the golden page world. Even though he had earth mobility, the huge force of the earth crashing down would be enough to pulverize him. As soon as Yemo came in, he saw the spirit range emit a faint white mist that circulated at one side of the golden page world. Meanwhile, Silver was watching the spirit range worriedly. Feeling the dense spirit chi inside, Yemo breathed comfortably. No one would believe that someone had been able to seize a spirit range with golden core state power. Yemo knew that the collapse outside wouldn't finish for a while, so he sat inside the spirit marrow pond and started cultivating. The spirit chi was devoured by Yemo like crazy, and his power kept increasing. When Yemo opened his eyes again, he was shook. Another 20% of the spirit marrow pond was gone, yet he had only barely reached the middle stage of level 1. Yemo looked at the pond and murmured, "How many spirit stones will need to reach golden core state level 9? How many spirit herbs will I need?" He didn't dare to imagine. His consumption rate was crazy. Although he had a spirit range now, its potency was a far cry from the spirit marrow pond. Yemo didn't continue cultivating in the pond. He would be wasting too much. It would be much better for Yangzhu and Yiling to cultivate in it. Yemo started to organize his herbs. These were the herbs which had been planted around the spirit range, so they were important, especially the 2 5 colors lotuses, so Yemo used a formation to protect them. Guillermo looked at the vast patch of level 5 herbs and felt a sense of satisfaction. He had gone through a bit of danger, but the harvest was worth it. Guillermo came out of the golden page world and returned to the herb garden. The scene in front of him was astonishing. The valley was a mess. There were no longer any remnants of the 7 herb gardens, and all that was left were 7 big ravines instead. Even the small wooden house had disappeared, much less the teleportation formation. Guillermo sighed. Even if there weren't people waiting for him on the other side, he wouldn't be able to get away. So now Guillermo's greatest problem was how to go out. Guillermo went around again but didn't find another way out. The formation he had used to threaten others with was destroyed by his own hands. The mist was still dense outside, and Guillermo didn't dare to try going through it. But Guillermo knew that the mist might really be his only way out. So Guillermo called out Shadowless and told it to approach the mist. After Shadowless flew up to a few meters from the mist, it quickly came back to Guillermo's shoulder, and no matter how much Guillermo urged it, it didn't dare to go up again. Even Shadowless couldn't go near the mist. Guillermo really didn't have any ideas left. He had wanted to use the method he used to escape Chongfen Valley again. If Shadowless weren't afraid of the mist, he would let Shadowless take the golden page world across the mist. But now Guillermo began to worry. He didn't want to stay there. No one would come there even 50 years later. Suddenly, Guillermo felt a sense of danger. The mist started to slowly pour in, and the closest part was only a few meters away from him. In his shock, Guillermo immediately went back into the golden page world without thought. Guillermo then immediately made a surveillance formation disc and threw it out. Through it, Guillermo saw the valley become slowly covered, and in no time, the entire valley would be covered in that deadly mist. Guillermo sighed. He knew that he had completely lost the way to go out. Guillermo guessed that the mist had probably been locked out by the garden's formation. Guillermo then just made a temporary home on the spirit range and started to concoct pills there. He wanted to see if the mist would slowly dissipate into the environment without the confinement to keep it in place. If not, then he could only hope that he would be teleported out after the 3 months were up, despite the possibilities of that not being great. Atop the spirit range, Guillermo used his Mist Lotus Heartfire and started concocting pills. Guillermo felt a smooth sense of satisfaction. With all the high-level spirit herbs Guillermo had, cauldrons of pills were quickly concocted. Guillermo concocted pills for an entire week before checking the outside again. Seeing that the mist was still dense, Guillermo began to turn disappointed. Wait dash, Guillermo saw 2 ants crawl slowly on the messy ground. Even Shadowless was scared of the mist. How come those 2 ants were fine? Guillermo then noticed that the mist felt the same as before, yet also seemed to have lost something, and that seemed to be a level of intelligence. Was this change also due to him pulling away the spirit range? Thinking about this, Guillermo called out Shadowless again and threw him out without regard. He kept watch of Shadowless, though, and was ready to summon it back if there were any danger. Shadowless was dazed after being randomly thrown out of the golden page world, but when it saw the endless mist, its first reaction was to run. But soon, it stopped. It walked around the mist and realized in wonder that it didn't seem to affect him anymore. Guillermo thought, is there really no danger here anymore? Thinking like this, he also went out into the mist. Chapter 932. The Spirit That Devours Space. Chapter 932. The Spirit That Devours Space. Guillermo stood in the mist. He didn't go back to the Golden Page world because he knew that it was different from before. It was just some ordinary mist now, and it didn't harm him at all. Even when he walked back to the place where the mist had been sealed, nothing happened. Guillermo carefully sent his spirit sense out. He soon found that his spirit sense could go through places he couldn't before. Without much effort, Guillermo found the cultivator that had disappeared. He was just a pile of bones now. Even the clothes on him were gone. Guillermo believed that the mist had lost its poisonous and spirit sense barrier properties after he had pulled away the spirit range. Theoretically, he should be safe now, but he had a sense of danger. The dead cultivator's ring was right next to his body, but Guillermo didn't have any intentions of picking it up at all. He had to leave the valley quickly. That was his only thought. Was there something with intelligence there before he had put away the spirit range? Was it an evil spirit or something else? Thinking about this, Yemo's body got colder. That scary feeling was getting more and more intense. He didn't even turn away. He just dashed away on his flying pike. There were no longer any air restrictions. A spirit range, an evil spirit, a corrosive mist. Yemo just wanted to fly away as fast as possible. A strong suction force came. Yemo subconsciously scanned where he was before, and what he saw made his skin crawl. His spirit sense couldn't find anything, but the place where he had stood had disappeared into thin air. It was just like a huge football field that had a block dug out of it. The football field was still there, but it had lost a piece of it. That part seemed to have completely disappeared into nothing. Yemo could guess that if he had stood there, then he would have disappeared along with it. Yemo was a golden core state cultivator, but there was nothing he could do against such unexplainable phenomena. Regardless if that was real or fake, Yemo knew he had to leave this place quickly. Otherwise, even if he went into the golden page world, it might disappear too. The suction seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. Yemo felt that if he slowed down even a little bit, he would be sucked away and disappear from this world. Yemo didn't dare to look back at all, nor pick up the countless rings on the bones below. He took out one of his extreme-grade spirit stones and placed it on the flying pike without hesitation. With this powering it, the flying pike instantly speed up. Yemo felt that suction force didn't seem as strong as before, and he finally breathed at ease. 2 days later, Yemo heard his flying pike crack. Yemo realized that he had made it go too fast and it had broken. Yemo threw it away, picked up the unfinished spirit stones, and dashed away on Zisu. Yemo had slowed down, so half a day later, he felt that suction force again. However, he realized that he was about to get out of the mist. Yemo didn't even dare to look at what kind of place it was. He used his cultivation essence and accelerated to the maximum before dashing away. When he left behind the last sliver of mist, Yemo could breathe a little better, but he still kept running at full speed. He was scared of that unseen force. He had never heard of something capable of devouring space. Yemo felt that everything that had been in the herb garden's secret land seemed to be part of a cycle, as though it had been designed by someone. Yemo believed that he had broken someone's set-up land by taking out the spirit range. Thinking about this, he felt extremely uneasy. Wait, since there was a teleportation formation in the herb garden, why were there still so many bones in the mist? They must have come from outside too. How come they didn't leave through the teleportation formation in the wooden house? Yemo connected the dots and his heart skipped a beat. The wooden house had a complete teleportation formation, but it wasn't for them. That teleportation formation was hidden. He had changed the formation flags to his. This way, the formation could be activated. In other words, if he hadn't changed the formation flags, even if someone found the teleportation formation, they wouldn't have been able to use it unless that person was a formation great master. However, those who had come in there were elite sect members. Moreover, formation grandmasters couldn't just be at golden core state level. It was very hard to become a formation grandmaster in the lifespan of a golden core state. He was a formation master. If he hadn't found that formation, then everyone would be trapped inside and forced to find a way out through the mist. From this point of view, he had saved everyone. The person who had designed this secret land had only one purpose, and that was to attract people to come in and make them go into the mist to be devoured by it and that unseen force. The Herb Valley had been around for countless years. This meant that countless people had died there. That's why there were hidden restrictions placed on the herb gardens. It was only after all these years that the restrictions had started to get weaker. Yemo suspected that there was also a hidden restriction around the wooden house, but only they had gotten to see it. Yemo guessed that the spirit herb garden was meant to feed that unknown thing. The primary source of strength was the essence blood of cultivators. Yemo suddenly realized that if he wanted to know if he had guessed right, he just had to look at how old the spirit herbs were. Thinking about this, Yemo started to check the herbs in his golden page world. Chapter 933, South-Piece 10 Beauties. Chapter 933, South-Piece 10 Beauties. When Yemo checked the age of the herbs, he was sure that he had just messed up someone's plan. The herbs he got were all at least 500 years old, and they looked very good because they were growing on a spirit range. Yemo was shocked. He finally understood why the spirit range had been trying to leave. Probably according to plan, when the person didn't need any more essence blood, he would let the last group of cultivators break the restriction. The spirit range would then slowly move into the mist and be devoured by the being inside the mist. By taking someone else's spirit range, Yemo ruined this person's setup. The being inside the mist won't be able to evolve like it was supposed to be due to this. This person had spent so much effort to set all this up, having even calculated what would happen all these years later so accurately. This being was definitely not someone Yemo could mess with. At the same time, Yemo knew that he had ended up offending this powerful being. Yemo didn't dare to so much as look back, as he just wanted to run as far away as possible. No matter if he'd guessed right or not, this valley's herb garden wasn't simple. The mist wasn't simple for sure. Yemo just kept flying on Zisu while eating a life essence pill every once in a while. He didn't even know how long he had been flying, when he finally breathed easy and suddenly saw 3 cultivators fighting. No matter where this place was, it was clear he had gotten away. The people fighting were 2 Golden Core State Level 3 cultivators and 1 Golden Core State Level 2. It seemed the Level 2 and 1 Level 3 were fighting the other Level 3 cultivator. Yemo scanned them without caring too much about them. These people couldn't pose a threat to him. He found a place to sit. He had been running for a few days and nights and had long since been exhausted. The 3 cultivators saw Yemo appear and were dazed. But when they saw that Yemo was only at Golden Core State Level 1 and was eating pills while going to rest immediately, they understood that he must have escaped there. They ignored Yemo and kept fighting. After Yemo ate a stalagmite benefit pill to mediate the pill poison, he started to watch the fight. The lone cultivator was very handsome and had defined features, but he was clearly not going to last long. One of the other 2 had a pale face and hawk nose, whereas the other had a long face that didn't match his head. Wang Zhua, Kai Shizhong, I've already given it to you. What else do you want? That handsome Golden Core State Level 3 man kept panting and asking. Sure, Hongzhu, it's not that we have enmity with you, but we made a promise to someone. It's your fault for not having a good look at yourself. You always try to get close to Du Xiaoying. Of course, if you are willing to destroy your face and swear to the heavenly Tao that you will never get close to Du Xiaoying again, we can let you go, the pale-faced cultivator said. Yemo shook his head. That sure Hongzhu would be an idiot if he agreed. The pale-faced cultivator clearly had killing intent in his eyes. Sure Hongzhu yelled, Huang Zhua, are you crazy? Du Xiaoying is one of the top 10 beauties in South Peace State. How can she like me? Did you get something wrong? Get it wrong? How come I heard that she met up with you alone more than once? Last time on the Tongue Pill Towers auction, you guys talked for an entire day. Are you just ordinary friends then? Huang Zhua replied coldly. The long-faced cultivator suddenly laughed creepily and said, Sure Hongzhu, your face is indeed pretty. If you had the chance, you might even get number 1 Wensai and Luo Susu, much less number 9 Du Xiaoying. Sure Hongzhu was suddenly thrown into a daze for a moment as he reminisced Wensai's goddess-like beauty. That day, he'd glanced at her from afar, and ever since then, he could never forget her beauty and temperament. He wasn't that much into Du Xiaoying, but he indeed had fallen in love with Wensai. But he was aware that with his identity and status, it would be hard to so much as talk to her, much less get close to her. The reason why he could talk to Du Xiaoying was because she approved of him. Using this lapse of focus of Sure Hongzhu, the horse-faced cultivator pierced his shoulder with his flying sword. Sure Hongzhu quickly retreated and ate a pill, not daring to divide his attention again. But Sure Hongzhu was already injured, so how could the 2 let go of such an opportunity? They attacked with even more force, trying to kill Sure Hongzhu in one go. However, their 2 spirit artifacts didn't land on Sure Hongzhu, as they were instead struck back by a purple ray. Yemo smashed the 2 spirit artifacts away with just one sword, and he sent the men back many meters. The two looked at Emo, who was holding Zisu in a daze and couldn't react for a long time. Even though they had already almost exhausted their cultivation essence, their combined attack wasn't something a golden core state level 1 could casually break. What happened? Huangzhuo looked at Kai Shizhong and asked. Kai Shizhong shook his head and said in a quiet voice, "This young man is a tough one. He just attacked casually, but I felt like his attack was unstoppable. I don't think we're a match for him even if we attack together. He must be hiding his power." Shi Hongzhu was still in a daze, as he didn't understand why Emo saved him and how this mere golden core state level 1's attack could be so powerful. He wouldn't even dare to believe it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. This golden core state level 1's power was more absurd than some core disciples of 9-star sects. He had seen the 9-star sect Lightning Cloud sect's core disciple Tian Alfing attack once. That was in the South P City's Trialstone Square, when Tian Alfing was just at Golden Core State Level 4. Yet with his attack, he entered the ranks of the Golden Core State Hall of Fame. To enter the Golden Core State Hall of Fame, a cultivation of at least the Golden Core State Tertiary stage was required, yet he had been only at Golden Core State Level 4. Other than that Tian Alfing, Shi Hongzhu now once again saw a cultivator that shocked him. "Friend, this is just a conflict between us. It has nothing to do with you. Why are you interfering in this?" Kai Shizhong immediately asked. He had made up his mind that even if Emo was going to forcefully save Shi Hongzhu, he would rather let Shi Hongzhu go than fight this person. He had noticed that Emo also didn't really seem to have the intention to fight them. There was only some unexplainable excitement in his eyes. Emo wasn't planning on fighting the two indeed. He suppressed his excitement and asked, "Did you just say Luo Susu? Where is she?" Emo's tone was still trembling, as he simply couldn't control it. Emo's emotions had exploded upon hearing this name. He didn't want anyone to die in the fight, resulting in him getting incomplete information. Luo Susu? Kai Shizhong realized that this cultivator was also an admirer of Luo Susu, and he must have been looking for information about her. Although they didn't say anything, Kai Shizhong and Huangzhuo immediately looked down on Emo on the inside. Although Emo's attack was quite shocking, he was daydreaming if he thought he could see Luo Susu. However, Kai Shizhong didn't dare to say any of that. He replied respectfully, "Luo Susu is the core disciple of the 9-star sect called the Dark Ice sect. She's ranked first in the top 10 beauties of South Peace State, along with one Sai." Chapter 934. Susu's Whereabouts. Chapter 934. Susu's Whereabouts. Emo didn't care about the South Peace State's top 10 beauties. He just wanted to know if that Luo Susu was his wife. Before Kai Shizhong had finished, he asked desperately again, "When did Luo Susu join the Dark Eye sect? What is her current power level?" Kai Shizhong seemed to see from Emo's desperate expression that it wasn't just simple admiration. However, Kai Shizhong didn't know how to reply. The top 10 beauty status was so much higher than his. Shi Hongzhu had recovered, so he bowed to Emo and said, "Thank you, Martial brother, for saving my life. I know some basic information about Luo Susu." Then he blushed as though fearing Emo would blame him for researching Luo Susu. He continued, "My friend gave me some news about Wen Sai. They both ranked as the most beautiful in the South Peace State, so I have some information." Emo waved his hand and rushed him. "Hurry up." "Yes," Shi Hongzhu quickly said. "She joined the Dark Eye sect less than a year ago. It was a Qianbei from the sect who found her. That cauldron filing state Qianbei was out with a few friends and found Luo Susu. They were shocked by her spirit root talent and immediately brought Luo Susu back to the Dark Ice Mountain. It was proven that Qianbei was right. Luo Susu reached Foundation Establishment State Peak Stage in less than a year, and she might even be at Golden Core State now. Which one of you can draw her?" Emo scanned the three men again. He was sure that Luo Susu was his wife Luoing. The chronological order was coherent. The three men glanced at each other. Luo Susu rarely showed her face. They had only heard about this person. None of them had seen her. Emo remembered that Ning Qingxue and Tang Beiwei were also with Susu. So he asked, "Did that Qianbei find a few people with Luo Susu when they took her?" The three men shook their heads. None of them knew. Yimo was very disappointed. He waved his hand. You guys can leave. Kai Shizhong and Huang Zhuo saw that Shi Hongzhu didn't move, but they didn't dare point fingers in front of Yimo, so they could only leave. Of course, Shi Hongzhu wasn't going to leave now. He had to wait until the two cultivators were far enough before he could leave. He saluted with his fists and thanked Yimo again. However, Yimo's mind seemed to have wandered off, so he could only change directions and run. Yimo suddenly thought of something, but when he got up, he found all the three cultivators had left. He had forgotten to ask whether Ning Qingxue and Tang Beiwei could have been taken to other sections. After all, the cauldron filing state cultivator had been with a few friends. Ning Qingxue and Tang Beiwei were both very talented. With their beauty, they really could have made it into the South Peace State's 10 beauties. He should have asked about the rank. He might have been able to gather more information. Thinking about this, Yimo got very annoyed. However, he immediately took out Zisu and dashed towards the direction Kai Shizhong had taken. He only needed to find one southern cultivator to get their names. On the way, Yimo wasn't even in the mood to search for spirit herbs. He just kept searching for a southern cultivator. But after 2 days, he still hadn't met a single one. Yimo began to worry. He knew that with his current power, it would be impossible to get to the South Peace State. Yet no matter how impossible it was, he had to find a South Peace State cultivator to ask. 3 days later, Yimo saw 2 cultivators pass by with his spirit sense and immediately chased after them. His current speed wasn't any slower from when he had escaped the mist. His speed was causing a sharp howl in the air, but Yimo didn't care. He just went faster and faster. Yimo chased the cultivators, and half a day later, he could see 2 figures. They seemed to be 2 female cultivators. The 2 women had also seen Yimo, and they also noticed that he didn't care about all the noise his Zisu was making. The 2 women didn't seem happy. They stopped, took out their magic artifacts, and waited for Yimo to come over. What do you want? Before Yimo could talk, the tall woman asked coldly. Yimo breathed at ease now that he had finally caught up. He studied the 2 cultivators. One was tall and very beautiful. Her skin was very smooth. She carried a flying sword that emitted a faint yellow light which flew around her. However, her cold tone didn't seem very welcoming. Her power was a lot higher than Yimo's. She was at Golden Core State Level 7. The girl next to her seemed cute and small. Her round face seemed innocent, and her 2 big eyes looked very lively. They studied Yimo, but her eyes seemed to say that she could tell why Yimo had stopped them. However, her power was only at Golden Core State Level 3. Yimo wanted to ask for a favor, so he saluted with his fist. Hello, I'm Yimo. I want to ask you don't need to ask anything. This is my martial sister Qiu Shui. You've already found her. Hurry up and say what you have to say. Give her whatever gifts you have to give. We're in a hurry. The cute girl interrupted him. The tall woman also thought she knew what Yimo wanted to do. There was a sliver of disgust in her eyes. Yimo was dazed. Seeing this, the big-eyed girl got impatient. Are you going to talk or give gifts? If not, we're leaving. We can see someone like you every day. I'm speechless. Yimo immediately realized that the 2 women had misunderstood him. However, Yimo didn't dare to offend them. He had been after them for 3 days. If they refused to reply, then it would be hard for him to ask questions. Yimo immediately saluted with his fists and said, I want to ask you too if you come from the South Peace State? The cute-looking girl looked at Yimo speechlessly and said impatiently, Of course we're from the South Peace State. Please use a better conversation starter. Sister Shui, let's go. Yimo quickly stopped them and took out 2 jade bottles. A small gift. Please don't reject it. Seeing this, the big-eyed girl lowered her tone and took the 2 jade bottles before saying, Sister Shui is here. Hurry up and say what you've got to say. Qiu Shui watched the girl take the jade bottles and seemed a little helpless. She then looked calmly at Yimo. There was contempt in her eyes. Yimo quickly asked, Can you please tell me who are the 10 beauties of the South Peace State? Can you please tell me their names from the number 1 to number 10? Hearing this, Qiu Shui's expression immediately changed. She sneered and said, Martial sister, let's go. Before Yemo could return to his senses, the two women had once again went on their flying sword. Yemo was confused about why the two cultivators had left. He was a little annoyed too. He had given them a gift. Did they need to be like that? Thinking about this, Yemo got on his Zisu, and he was about to chase after them again. However, Xiao Shui took out a round disc spirit artifact and pointed at Yemo with her flying sword. If you dare approach us and say rude things again, I will kill you. Then, they disappeared immediately. Yemo was really confused. He had just asked a question. How was that rude? However, Yemo still followed them with Zisu. Even if he wasn't planning on asking them, he was going on the same direction. He didn't believe he couldn't find someone else. Chapter 935. 10 Beauties Ranking. Chapter 935. 10 Beauties Ranking. Yemo didn't fly very long this time before meeting 3 cultivators, 2 men and 1 woman. They seemed to be heading towards the direction the 2 girls had been going in. Yemo didn't care who it was, as long as he could just talk to someone. Yemo immediately gave up on the 2 girls, and he chased up to the 3 cultivators. Seeing this, the 3 cultivators stopped in vigilance as they took out their magic artifacts, looking at Yemo. Other than the girl who was Foundation Establishment State Peak Stage, the 2 men were Golden Core State Level 5 and Level 2. Yemo quickly saluted with his fists and said, I'm Yemo. I have been in solitary cultivation, so I don't really know about the situation in South Peace State. I heard someone talk about the South Peace State 10 Beauties, and I'm very curious. I happened to meet you guys. So may I ask who these 10 beauties are? Yemo didn't dare to say he was from the North Far State, as this part of the Herb Valley belonged to the South Peace State. Huang Yushan and company said they were from South Peace State straight away because they were strong. Hearing this, the 3 rested easy. So it was a horny cultivator. Yemo was only Golden Core State Level 1 and couldn't threaten them. The tall, dark-faced cultivator put away the magic artifact and laughed, then friend. We are similar people. Ha ha ha. However, don't take it too seriously, otherwise you'll only end up getting hurt. The other male cultivator put away his magic artifact and laughed. Clearly, he could tell Yemo was truly there to ask questions and not to look for trouble. Yemo saw that the 2 were straightforward people and had a good impression of them. I'm Guichifan, and these are my martial brother Yin Qi and martial sister Ding Ling brother Yi. You've probably just got news and must be heading towards Purple Lake. Let's go together then. We'll talk as we go. Guichifan had a good impression of Yemo too. Yemo just wanted to say no, as he didn't know what Purple Lake was, but Yinchi intervened. Martial brother, is there a need to ask? Who isn't going to Purple Lake at this time? Although there is just 1 purple flower fire and we won't be able to get it, but we might get a few purple flower seeds. Perhaps after countless years, one will turn into another purple flower fire. Purple flower fire? Yemo thought. It was ranked 12th among the rare flames in the cultivation realm. This was rather high seeing how the top 10 were all heaven flames. When the purple flower fire was born, it would sprout 36 seeds. These seeds were also very precious. Each seed is a level 5 spirit item and is not only helpful for cultivation, but can also be added to pills. If the seeds are of a high grade, countless years later, they might really become another purple flower fire. After Yemo heard this, he didn't say no. He nodded and continued to ask, yes, I'm also going there, but I do want to ask. Yemo didn't forget about the South Peace State 10 beauties. Haha, I know, brother Yi. Don't worry. Although I don't know it very well, my martial sister does. Martial sister Ling, you can explain to brother Yi so that he can stop being so desperate. Guichifan laughed. Ding Ling wasn't as pretty as the 2 girls before, but she was rather fresh-looking and seemed easy to talk to. Hearing this, Ding Ling laughed and answered meticulously, people say South Peace State 10 beauties, but it's actually 11 people. Ranked 1 are 9-star sect Dark Ice Sect Luo Susu and 9-star sect Infinity Sect Wansai. Second is 9-star sect Clear Dream Mosques Ling Xiaoshuang. Third is 8-star sect Distant Immortal Pawns Ning Qingshuedash. Yemo heard this, and his heart shook as he looked excited once again. Qingxue was indeed one of the top 10 beauties too. He didn't care about what rank she was at. He cared about finding news of her. Ding Ling continued. Fourth is 9-star sect Deep Sound Towers Jing Yinming. Fifth is 8-star sect Golden Sword sects Xiao Serene. Sixth is 9-star sect Dark Ice sects Tang Beiwei Dash. Yimo's excitement rose a beat again. He consecutively heard news of Luoying, Ning Qingxue, and Tang Beiwei. His excitement was through the roof. He didn't know why Luoying and Tang Beiwei were in the same sect, but he could finally rest easy a bit. Ding Ling noticed Yimo's excitement and looked strangely at him but didn't ask anything. She continued, ranked 7 is 8-star sect Heaven Star Sexy Pandai, while in 8th place is 8-star sect Nangong Villas Nangong Shaodai. 9th is 7-star sect Fusion Joy sects Du Xiuying. Finally 10th is 7-star sect Red Pill sects Jiu Shui. Dark Eye sect is really strong, having 2 of the top 10 in their sect. Yin Qi exclaimed. Ding Ling rolled her eyes. What's this got to do with the sect being strong? But the Dark Eye sect is a 9-star sect, so of course they are strong. Yimo felt relieved knowing that they were all doing fine and couldn't help but sigh at the power of South Peace State. Even the worst of the top 10 came from a 7-star sect. The rest were all in 8 or 9-star sections. Meanwhile, in the North Far State, a 5 or 6-star sect stood at the pinnacle. The difference was huge. At the same time, Yimo also realized why Qiu Shui left in a rage. She was ranked last out of the 10 beauties and assumed he knew her, so when he asked her to rank the beauties from 1 to 10, she thought he was insulting her. But Yimo didn't care about such trivial matters. This information was enough. There were many who were prettier than Qiu Shui. Even that goddess Yihua, Yunzi, had been on par with Qiu Shui, while that Jimei had been even better than Qiu Shui. After this, the first thing Yimo planned on doing when he got back would be to try to bring Yangzhu and company to South Peace State. Yimo asked Ding Ling about their current status too, but she didn't know anything about that. After all, the difference in social status was too high. She only knew some widely known bits of news. As the 4 continued flying, more and more cultivators appeared. Many who knew Guoqifan came to speak with them. When Yimo followed everyone to a big lake, he finally understood why he didn't see anyone before. Most of them were here. There were at least a few hundred cultivators present. There were much more people from South Peace State coming into the Herb Valley than the North Far State. As Yimo arrived, he immediately saw Qiu Shui and that big-eyed girl. They were waiting on the side of the lake for the purple flower fire to come out. Yimo scanned them and moved his eyes away. They took his gift but didn't answer his question, so he really didn't like the two. The two clearly didn't notice Yimo and just stared at the lake anxiously. Around them were tens of young cultivators. When they looked at Qiu Shui, it was obvious they were all admirers of her. Qiu Shui's face was calm, and no one dared to go up and talk to her. The lake was placid, and the big-eyed girl was bored. She said to Qiu Shui, "Sister Shui, why did that guy say that? Is he retarded? He chased up to us, but why did he use such a ridiculous way to catch your attention?" Then she took out the 2 jade bottles. "I really want to see what pills he gave." "Throw it away," Qiu Shui said calmly. The big-eyed girl laughed. "I will throw it away, of course, but I really want to see what pills the fellow gave first. The 2 jade bottles are quite exquisite." Then she casually opened one bottle. When she poured 2 pale blue pills out of it, however, she couldn't help but open her mouth wide in shock. Chapter 936. The Purple Flower Fire. Chapter 936. The Purple Flower Fire. Qiu Shui noticed that her martial sister had suddenly stopped talking. She immediately turned around to see what had happened and saw 2 pale azure pills on her martial sister's hands. She recognized the pills and exclaimed in shock, "The Azure One pill? And its special grade." Qin Shui immediately stopped talking. Everyone knew how precious the Azure One pills were to Golden Core State cultivators. Hence, they were even more precious when it came to special grade ones. This was something that couldn't be bought. Only pill kings could concoct special grade Azure One pills. The best cultivation pill for Golden Core State cultivators was the condensed red pill. The second best one was the azure one pill. It was very hard to reach golden core state peak stage with the condensed red pill, but it was different with the azure one pill. The reason for it being one of the most precious pill was because it could easily make a cultivator reach golden core state peak stage. The pill was for helping golden core state tertiary stage cultivators break through to golden core state peak stage. If you were at golden core state tertiary stage, you would be able to reach golden core state peak stage in a short time, as long as you had enough azure one pills and suffer no side effects. However, the main ingredient of the azure one pill, the azure one grass, was very rare. The pill was also very hard to concoct. It required at least a level 9 spirit pill master. Qiu Shui was the core disciple of a 7-star sect, but even she couldn't easily get a special grade azure one pill. Even when she reached golden core state level 9, she would at most get a top grade azure one pill. Yet now, she had found 2 special grade azure one pills surrounded with spirit chi in her martial sister's hands. The little girl immediately understood and placed the 2 azure one pills into the jade bottle. She was also very excited. She hadn't thought that a golden core state level 1 cultivator would give them 4 special grade azure one pills. Seeing her martial sister's searing eyes, she immediately realized what her martial sister wanted. She took out the 2 bottles and gave them to Qiu Shui. She said, "Martial sister, I don't need these pills for now. It's a waste for me to use them." Qiu Shui really desired these special grade azure one pills, but she also knew how valuable they were. She took 1 bottle and said, "That person gave us 2. We can have 1 each. I really didn't expect it." The big-eyed girl blinked and said, "Martial sister, good thing I didn't listen to you. I almost threw them out without even looking at them." Hearing this, the eternally cold-faced Qiu Shui blushed and said with embarrassment, "I think we misunderstood him. He might have really approached us to ask questions." The younger martial sister continued, "I refuse to believe that he doesn't know the South Peace State's 10 beauties. If he can give away such pills so easily, he's a core disciple of either an 8-star sect or a 9-star sect. He's just using a new way to get your attention." But it didn't go according to the plan. Qiu Shui shook her head. "Not necessarily. Think about the flying artifact he was using. It was an ugly kitchen knife. If he was from an 8-star sect dash, Qiu Shui believed that Yimo had gotten the 2 bottles through his luck. As for why he had given it to her, it had obviously been to suck up to her. She had seen such cultivators before. People who were willing to give her everything in their storage ring to attain her favor. Hearing this, the big-eyed martial sister nodded. Then she added, "I wonder if that guy is here too?" She started searching amongst the crowd and immediately saw some cultivators talking to Yimo. She grabbed Qiu Shui's sleeve and said, "Martial sister, he's really here. Look, he's in front of us. He didn't even greet us. What sort of pursuer is this?" "Humph." She then continued, "Martial sister, it seems you're right. He's just talking with those low-grade sect members. Clearly, he's not from a big sect. I really don't know how he found the 4 pills. Usually, big sect members looked at lower-grade sect members with content, and they usually didn't talk to them." Qiu Shui looked up and saw Yimo. However, he didn't look over at all, and much less did he go talk to them. "Qiu Shui goddess, Yang Ro martial sister. Long time no see," an amicable male voice sounded. Qiu Shui frowned, but when she saw Hu Hua coming, she could only nod. "So it's the martial brother Wang Pu from the Tianxian sect. What teachings do you have for us?" She didn't want to talk much to him. The Tianxian sect was a 7-star sect, and Wang Pu was the core disciple. He was already at golden core state level 8, and he was stronger than her. Wang Pu didn't feel awkward about her words at all. He said nicely, "I thought I saw 2 pills in martial sister Yang Ro's hands that seemed to be special grade azure one pills." Qiu Shui had began to frown already. Wang Pu was at golden core state level 8. Of course he wanted the azure one pill. "I saw that martial sister Yang Ro had another bottle. If she's willing to sell it, I dash." Qiu Shui interrupted him without hesitation. "Sorry, martial brother Wang. Azure one pill are very important to us too. We don't have more to sell." Wang Pu seemed to have known Qiu Shui would say this. He didn't get angry and simply continued, "Of course, I won't force you if you don't want to sell." I just want to know where you bought your Azure One pill, so I can try my luck too. Qiu Shui felt a little better after hearing this, but it was hard for her. If Yimo didn't have some big background, he would be dead for sure in the hands of Wang Pu. Thinking about this, Qiu Shui said casually, "We helped someone, and that person gave us the pills in gratitude. We don't know that person either." Sorry. Qiu Shui blushed when saying this. They had taken Yimo's things, but they hadn't helped him at all. Wang Pu had a sneer on his face. He said plainly, "That person is really generous, giving a special grade Azure One pill to a stranger for helping them." Qiu Shui didn't explain. She wouldn't have believed it either if she had been Wang Pu. She subconsciously glanced at Yimo. However, this glance was immediately caught by Wang Pu. He immediately kept a mental note of Yimo. He didn't believe that Yimo, who hung out with a group of small sect members, would have such pills. Yet since Qiu Shui had glanced at Yimo that second, it meant something. Meanwhile, the purple flower fire was about to be born. He didn't have time to talk to a cultivator like Yimo. At this moment, a golden core state peak stage cultivator stood in the air and saluted everyone with his fist. "Dao friends, we're all gathered here for one purpose, the purple flower fire. But there's only one. Luckily, there are many seeds coming with it. So even if you just get the seed, it's quite a fortune." The golden core state cultivator clearly had some status. The crowd immediately quieted down when he got out, and soon the scene was silent. This cultivator nodded with satisfaction and continued, "There are 36 seeds, but there are hundreds of cultivators here. Not everyone can get one. I'm here to remind everyone that we're all elite cultivators from the South Peace State. Even if you want to fight over the seeds, try not to kill each other." Yimo sneered upon hearing this. He knew this guy was talking bullshit. It would be lucky if the lake hadn't been dyed red by the end. So killing just a few people was even more unlikely. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.